was filed. According to prosecution, they had to amend to suit the advice of the Attorney General, bringing the total number of accused to 8. Patience Botry, Sarah Ajay, Benjamin Sowa, Malik Dauda, Christian Achat, Job Pomari, Yaya Suleiman, and Franklin Sarapo, who is at large, are being charged with conspiracy to commit crime, namely stealing. Reading the statement of fact to the court, it came up that the first and fifth accused, Patience Botry and Christian Achat, purchased an 11-unit chamber and hall self-contained house at Budumbram at a cost of 2,830,000 Ghana cedis and a 4-bedroom apartment together with the others, a number of cars and other home appliances. It is at the back of this that the prosecution prayed for more time to conclude their findings. Pleading for a bail, the lawyer for the accused, 3 in all, maintain their clients should be granted bail, while the police continue with investigations since they have cooperated with the court and the police from the scratch. Thus, when the case was brought before the court. But the court in its wisdom granted Sarah Ajay and Christian Achap a 1 million Ghana cedi bail with 3 sureties to be justified because they were lactating mothers, a justification for bail as raised by one of the lawyers, Augustine Jemfi.
Actually, what transpired in court, counsel for the accused person, we moved for bail application for the accused persons. Though their pleas have not been taken and prosecution opposed the bail application, given the reason that they have not finished with their investigation and they are still carrying on investigations. So, in respect, however, the court granted A2 and A5 because they are lactating mothers. The court admitted them to a bail to the sum of 1 million Ghana cedis with 3 sureties to be justified. And the court further ordered that we filed a formal application for bail to be moved on the 22nd. I think basically that's what's transpired.
The others are to remain with the police until the next adjourned date, August 22nd, 2023, when the fate of a bail application will be decided and guilty pleas will be taken.
In his or her house. And so all of a sudden, the crime committed is put on the carpet and at the background. Then the complainant now becomes an accused. Okay, based on what? You are talking about corruption here. You may assume some form of scandal and call for investigation. I have no problem at all. I have basically no problem, given that one of the complainants is a public figure. But then my concern is, why would we want to draw in the government and draw in the president to the extent that lawyer people keeps on and kept on calling the president serpent, mother, whatever of corruption? Where does it situate comes in? If you make a complaint and a petition, and you are able to establish that yes, your suspicion is real, or you have enough suspicion that the money might have come from an illicit source, so it has to be investigated. So be it. Otherwise, we are talking about Madam Cecilia Dapa, 1 million cedis, the charge sheet and all that. So couldn't the husband have given her the 1 million cedis? I'm coming. Why not? The husband is a rich man. The husband is a businessman. The husband is an accomplished person. So can't we, sitting here, husbands, can't we give monies to or properties or give something to our wives? So let's give the person the benefit of the doubt. Report to the appropriate quarters. Let her be invited, put on interrogation, and let her answer the questions. You don't jump into the bandwagon of propaganda and all manner of things.
What are you classifying as propaganda, really?
Because when you put matters that are not conclusive in your own thinking, you want it the way people to know the way you want it to be, without much investigations done and evidence so adduced, and you sort of convict the person in the minds of the public.
What conviction have we made here?
You are all saying that she got the money illegally.
Nobody has made that statement this morning.
Lawyer Pebu has said so. Lawyer Pebu has said so.
No,
he says, he goes on to say, he went on to say that that her income cannot.
Can you please put your phone on?
Yes.
On
her income.
Put it
yeah,
on.
but you said
the Constitution says if you cannot, and I kept saying she should bring evidence. She should bring. She has to justify.
And you said you know, Cecilia Dapa, we know. Let me paraphrase you. Cecilia Dapa, we know. You don't know her to be business.
I don't know her.
You don't know. So that's what
come out.
So that's what I'm saying. You have conclusively said that she cannot.
No,
and she's not worth that. Yeah, you don't know.
Wealthy. And so I'm saying that.
And I know her to be wealthy.
So you say so.
Then I'm saying that is what I'm saying, that you've made conclusive statement which you do not. You are not privy to the evidence.
The meaning is I don't know. Do you hear? I don't know her.
So if you want to, if you want to be if you want to make that categorical statement, you should have gone further to investigate. And then to be sure of what you are saying.
Dr. Kokofu,
yes,
is that not the reason why you should also support a call?
Who told you I don't support? I do support.
That pointer to also. I'm coming.
I support the call, and I'm happy.
What are you contesting?
I'm happy. Lawyer Pebu Monday will go to strike. He has promised us.
Maybe OSP, because under Regulation 20, OSP can do a lifestyle audit under the LI.
Yes, I agree with you.
That bring your income, do this.
I agree with you. So both. I'm happy with that. There's no contention. But before then, I do not see how you can try her in the court of public opinion and then make judgment of your own.
So which is the judgment?
But you see, Dr. Kokofu, I don't know if you actually
a lot of things.
Yes.
Well, you it or not, but you and your wife, I and my wife, myself and my wife
are one.
The same thing applies to all of us. So let's situate it properly. Again, going forward, what has government and the president got to do with this at this stage, all that we've been told in the public domain is that there's a court case running against theft, crime at this stage. If for some good reasons or any reason anybody thinks and believes so that an infringement has been occasioned by this couple, Cecilia Dapa and the husband, in this matter, that person has the right to raise any complaint and all that. He spoke about OSP. The law does not say OSP shall. It says may. Suomoto investigate these matters. So may. That is the key word. If you feel so strongly, petition the OSP or the SRAJ, as he has just said. But to get into the public domain, invite her into the court of public opinion and roast her here to the extent, and I'm so sad this morning. Lawyer Pebu said Cecilia Dapa is not known to be a person who has money, who does what, and she's not emblematic.
Mr. Speaker, I must put it on record that in 2020, the BOG supported government with a 37 billion overdraft, and not the rate or the amount my colleague on the other side stated. So, Mr. Speaker, we are not shying away from the fact that BOG supported government in 2022. In 2017, when the banks went into solvency, Bank of Ghana, Government of Ghana came to support Bank of Ghana with about 20 to 25 billion to enable them address that issue. So, Mr. Speaker, if today the Ministry of Finance, the government through the Ministry of Finance also needs support, I don't see why we shouldn't do the same. And Mr. Speaker, beyond that, as part of the measures to streamline and help us guide our macroeconomic stability, we have an MOU with BOG not to finance government anymore. So, Mr. Speaker, that is that. Again, I also want to address the issue of the 0.8 months import cover. When you look at the definition of import cover from IMF and you look at the definition of import cover from Bank of Ghana, they are two different things. This is also science and data. When you get onto the IMF webpage, look for the Ghana program, page 3. It is right there. And let me read, Mr. Speaker, with your permission. It says that program definition for the IMF for our reserves excludes oil funds, encumbered funds, and pledged assets. For the BOG, the the international reserves includes oil funds, encumbered funds, and pledge funds. So that is the difference. That is the difference. Mr. Speaker, I also want to go to address certain things that my colleague said on the other side concerning the loss of 60.8 billion that was stated in the BOG financial statement. Mr. Speaker, every statement, every amount on any financial statement comes with notes. So when you are giving the public information on that, you should read the notes and make sure you tell it as it is in the notes. Mr. Speaker, in the notes, I just want to let us know that yes, BOG incurred a loss of 60.8 billion. And we ask ourselves, what is driving this? Mr. Speaker, in the first place, the domestic debt exchange that we embarked on last year, you all agree with me that with a principle for other consumers, there was no haircut on the principal. But with BOG took a 50% haircut on the principal of the domestic debt exchange. And that alone amounted to 32.3 billion Ghana cedis, Mr. Speaker. So when you take that out of the 60.8, Mr. Speaker, I'm coming. I'll give you the breakdown for you to know why there was a loss of 60.8. Mr. Speaker, beyond the 50% principal haircut, there was also a marketable instrument of 16.1 billion that BOG had to take a hit on. And finally, with the adjustment of the cocoa bonds too, there was a loss of 4.7. So when you put all this together, you get 53.1 billion. So 53.1 billion out of the 60.8 billion is what, through Government of Ghana, through the DDEP, caused that loss. Beyond that, BOG itself saw a loss in interest expense to the tune of 3.3 billion, and also there was exchange rate valuation of 5.2 billion. So that is the total of the 60.8 billion, Mr. Speaker, and that comes with a note to the financing. Mr. Speaker, beyond that, we are asking ourselves, will BOG be able to remain policy solvent and discharge its mandate effectively? Yes. This is not the first time. This is not the first time that a central bank across the world has experienced this. Mr. Speaker, let me let you know that between 2002 and 2013, due to valuation write-downs on sizable foreign currency reserves, the Czech bank reported negative equity. Germany, the Bundesbank was also technically over-leveraged in the early 1970s because of losses that exceeded its equity. Again, between 2002 and 2021, some 10 out of 32 emerging market economies and small economies have also experienced this. So we ask ourselves, this is not anything new, but in the situation in which we found ourselves, BOG had to come in and support government. And let me also compare Ghana to other central banks that also experienced losses in 2022. Mr. Speaker, currently as we speak, the Reserve Bank of Australia also recorded a 37 billion Australian dollars loss. The UK bank, currently as we speak, Mr. Speaker, this is current, on the 25th of July, the Financial Times reported that it faces a 150 billion loss at the Bank of England. Mr. Speaker, this is not Ghana cedis, this is not US dollars, this is 150 billion pounds. Mr. Speaker, the Swiss National Bank also experienced a loss of 132 billion francs. And in September, Mr. Speaker, the Netherlands Bank has also notified the country's government that potentially it is going to also experience a loss of about 9 billion from 2023 to 2026. The most important thing we should be asking ourselves, will BOG remain policy solvent and be able to discharge its mandate effectively? Yes, Mr. Speaker, they have put measures in place. There's a 4-year plan to make sure they build back that capital and continue to support the government. That is important. It is not okay to sit here and run down your government. This is where we belong. This is where we are, and together we will win. Mr. Speaker, I just want to say, that we have seen a turnaround. This is because December 2022, we all saw what happened. Inflation had gone up, and even in November, the cedi had depreciated against the major foreign currencies by 50.
Only this week, in fact last week, the annual report and the financial statement of the Bank of Ghana was released. This report depicted the catastrophic decline of the Central Bank of Ghana into a bottomless pit. The report revealed the following astonishing facts. 1. The Bank of Ghana recorded a staggering loss of 60.8 billion Ghana cedis, which is equivalent of $6 billion US. This is twice the amount we are to receive from the recent IMF bailout. 60 billion Ghana cedis, representing $6 billion US, meaning this is twice the amount we'll be asking the IMF to give to us. This simply means that the reckless and mismanagement of the governor of the Bank of Ghana has costed the nation twice what we are struggling and sacrificing to receive from the International Monetary Fund amid its major conditionalities. Colleagues, the Bank of Ghana has also recorded a negative equity of over 55.1 billion Ghana cedis. This simply means that the Bank of Ghana is currently bankrupt, or in other words, insolvent. In other words, the once prestigious Bank of Ghana, the mother of all banks in Ghana, have been bankrupted and collapsed by the NPP economic management team led by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, with the complicity of the governor of the central bank and his deputies. Friends from the media, many questions have been asked about how we arrived at this gloomy and sad situation, with some expressing surprise at the state of affairs of the central bank. For us in the NDC, the disaster did not come as a surprise. In fact, we in the NDC minority have always known that the Bank of Ghana was being mismanaged. We have made this point time without number, that the Bank of Ghana is a classic example of how not to manage an economy. The NDC party is on record to have informed Ghanaians on countless occasions that the Bank of Ghana has been on a dangerous trajectory, and indeed, it has now become a crime scene with the dire consequences for us all. Fellow countrymen and women, after the inept and clueless finance minister overborrowed and got Ghana locked out of the capital market due to our unsustainable debt obligations, the NPP government chose the easy, reckless, lazy, and criminal path of printing money. Unfortunately, this is how the governor and the central bank, the governor of the central bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, who is now known as the printer of money, has conspired with members of economic mismanagement team led by Alhaji Dr. Bawumia and the inept finance minister Ken Ofori-Atta, aka One Program, One Bond, to destroy Ghana's central bank. After this dastardly act of overlending to the government by the central bank, they then proceeded to do the unthinkable. And the unthinkable is to write off a whopping 48.4 billion Ghana cedis, about half of Ghana's government indebtedness, to the central bank without parliamentary approval. This is illegal and criminal, and the NDC members of parliament will not allow this to pass. In fact, we will resist this. Both the mismanagement of the economy and our finances, the spectacular recklessness and ineptitude of the governor and his team has called into question the wisdom of leaving him at the helm of affairs of the central bank. We now present to you the manifestations of the mismanagement and the ineptitude and the potential corruption at the Bank of Ghana, which was revealed by the 2022 annual report and the financial statement of the Bank of Ghana. 1. The report revealed that millions of Ghana cedis have been wasted on frivolous administrative expenses. The Bank of Ghana spent a whopping 131.6 million Ghana cedis on motor vehicle maintenance and its running in the year 2022 alone. In fact, this represents 114% increase over the previous year's expenditure on the same line item. Similarly, foreign and domestic travels of the Bank of Ghana cost the taxpayer a staggering 97.4 million Ghana cedis, which again, it's an increase of 246% over the previous year's expenditure. The Bank of Ghana also dissipated another 8.6 million Ghana cedis on directors' remuneration alone. This represents about 87% increase over the previous year's expenditure. Directors' remuneration, 8.6 million Ghana cedis. If you are to compare this to the previous year, this represents 87% increase over the previous year. This simply means that Ghanaians were charged a mismanagement fee to deliver the collapse of the central bank. The Bank of Ghana further claimed to have spent a colossal 357.9 million Ghana cedis on banking supervision expenses for the year 2022 alone. The report further disclosed that the Bank of Ghana spent a whopping 67.9 million Ghana cedis on computers expenses alone, whilst communication expenses also amounted to 32 million Ghana cedis. Communication alone, just to meet the press, they spent 32 million Ghana cedis for 1 year, the year 2022. The report further disclosed that an undisclosed expense of 287.8 million Ghana cedis was paid, undisclosed. They could not account for 287 million Ghana cedis. I beg to ask, is the central bank the Ministry of National Security? It's only the National Security that can announce an amount that is undisclosed. So an amount of 287.8 million Ghana cedis that they have failed to disclose to the auditors begs for certain questions. We also saw in the report that the Bank of Ghana indeed spent an amount of $2 million on gold watches alone. I don't know who they bought the watches for, whether it's for the governor and the deputies. $2 million only on watches. Perhaps the more troubling fact is that, having brought the Bank of Ghana to this terrible financial state, the governor and his deputies have found it prudent and expedient to invest $250 million, representing almost 3 billion Ghana cedis, on another head office building somewhere at Ridge. In our circumstances, this is the height of insensitivity in the management of the financing of a troubled country.
This government is being efficient in terms of the mechanisms that are being
fatigue out relative to this rationalization.
Okay, now
serious fatigue out.
Gabi, let's hear you. Yeah.
People are tired. Listening to this.
We are in serious crisis, and some of us forecast that by August 2014, if you're not careful, the government will shut down without any support from the opposition, as we are seeing in America. And I tell you, it's because of the fiscal situation. Let me give you an example. Last year, for instance, you set a target for yourself that you borrow from the domestic market 2.7 billion, and you ended up borrowing 7 billion.
Incredible.
A target for yourself that you borrow 2.7 billion from the domestic market, you ended up 7 billion. Over the last 8 years, he's talking about election petition. Over that period, they borrowed 8 billion. In the 8 months of the election petition, over 1.1 billion on average a month.
What is your source?
I'm coming. My source is the Bank of Ghana. Why we think of, please. Let's stop the propaganda and somewhere. Please, I beg you.
You don't just throw figures about.
Look,
Gabi, it's a legitimate question to ask you what your source is.
I just told him Bank of Ghana.
So I'm disputing that. Okay, so
what's the contrary view?
Support. There's no such figures from Bank of Ghana. He's saying there is no
figures.
No, I didn't bandit figures around. No, he's not banding. So tell us what the figure is if it is not what he's saying. Yes, Gabi.
Yeah. Now, when you look at it, and you know the difficulty is, I think the Chronicle call it Mahamanomics. And they said borrow and borrow and borrow. It is, what is happening is, you tax, you borrow and spend. You tax, you borrow and spend. And you borrow more to pay debts. So what is happening now? Look, government can even borrow as much as 27%. I'm talking about all these state institutions that they are allowed to go and borrow. If government is borrowing that high, at that rate, and is going out there to take all the money, and is taking the money not for productive stuff, but to pay debt. It's gone out now for about 600 million bonds. Okay? It is to pay debt. So what you're doing is, you are running into a vicious cycle of borrowing and borrowing more to pay debt. And whilst you are doing so, you're crowding out the private sector. Industries are suffering. Utility prices have gone up. Industries are suffering. So you can't raise enough taxes. So you have to go and borrow more to pay debt. And you borrow and borrow and borrow to pay debt, and there's no productivity. Let me tell you.
So you stop borrowing. Is that part of the solution?
I'm just saying it's because we don't have a strategy.
No, because a while ago
let me tell you why we don't have a strategy.
Complaining about the government not being heady about borrowing.
It is a government without strategy. Let me tell you, if you have strategy, my brother, you don't go and overspend on stuff like Maslock. You don't go and overspend on stuff that are not necessarily even critical. You don't pay for like secondary subsidies, education subsidies. You don't pay for get fund, and yet you invest in LESDEP, you invest in GIDA, and all these things, and you pay more than what the budget are. And look, what is happening now? Even what's this? They set up this ministry. What's it? Tony Agen's thing.
Yeah,
it's supposed to monitor and evaluate. They're also broke. They are broke. NDPC is broke. So you're asking yourself, what really is the framework? Because even these things, you're supposed to have set them up to make sure that you're on track.
When you listen to Tony Edu, he sounds as if it's not just a question of being broke.
I agree.
But it's a question of what the government priority is.
Absolutely.
The government may not, the president may not want
he became redundant.
Yeah.
And you know what is happening? Look,
there's a good reason for that.
Let me tell you how the difficult situation we're in. Usually when you talk of budget deficit, what it is that you spend more than you put in the budget. Isn't it?
Yeah, that's
what is happening now. Okay, we are running a budget deficit by underspending. And you know why you're underspending and running a budget deficit? Because your revenue targets are not being met. So you are spending more than what you are raising, and not hitting your target. And you know what that means? Look at capital expenditure. We are below capital expenditure. Even goods and services, we're about 400 million Ghana cedis below what we targeted this year. So what it is that the productivity, even businesses are suffering, and all you are doing with the borrowing is to pay salaries and to pay more debt. And my brothers, I'm telling you, if by August this year, this government doesn't shut down, then it must find a way to go around it, because
you don't believe in the solutions that they are proffering.
They have no solution. There's no solution, because
is it the case that you think that you have a superior solution or they don't have a solution? Because the minister just told you.
Let me tell you. What solution? Let me tell you what has been happening. Okay?
I'll do that in a minute, because I need to take a break at this point.
A typical example. A typical example is this GIDA thing. It is, let's not joke with it. Youth unemployment is the major issue in this country. You spend 1 billion in 4 years, and you can't tell us the impact of that on youth unemployment. 1 billion in 4 years. Tell us the impact. So basically what it is that, would it give us any political advantage? Let's spend.
What is the difference between the ordinary thief and a political thief? Number one, the ordinary thief steals your money, your bag, your watch, and your jewelry, isn't it? But the political thief steals your future, your career, your education, your health, and your business. Number two, the hilarious part is that the ordinary thief will choose whom to rob, but you are the one who choose the political thief to rob you, because we choose them, we vote them, we blindly say we are not blind. Who is deceiving who? The ridiculous part of the whole issue is that we will fight to defend and protect our belongings from the ordinary thief. Is it not? But we fight each other to defend and protect the political thief. Is that not what we do? Thugs will be fighting themselves to protect those that are stealing our career, stealing our job, stealing our health, stealing our success. What a shame.
If you reach a certain stage in life and there is nobody who can look you in the eye and tell you the truth, you are doomed. And that is where our country has gotten to. We need to rescue this country. Wallahi. And I feel very terrible as a Ghanaian at this time. This country is in serious trouble, ladies and gentlemen. We are in serious trouble. We need to rescue this country, ladies and gentlemen. The presidency has been so depraved, so muddied, so dirtied, that I tell you in all sincerity as a Ghanaian, that I feel terribly sad today, as a Ghanaian, we need to rescue this country. Wallahi, inshallah.
Please don't cry.
We shall rescue our country.
Government is broke, government is broke. But people are spending billions to go inside the government that is broke. Have you ever seen a minister who resigned because government is broke before? Government has no money. Have you ever seen a governor who said, ladies and gentlemen, when I was elected, I thought the government had money. Now I discover government has no money, I resign. Have you ever seen it? Government has no money, but they are bringing money out at election time. Where is that money coming from? So they are lying. What is happening is that there are two types of wicked people in government. Type 1, they eat current money. Any money they find in government, they will eat it. They are wicked about that one. There is type 2. Type 2, they eat current money and future money. They will say, my term will end next year. When I leave, how will I eat money? Let me borrow money now and borrow money of the future and eat it now.
Right, hello, good morning and welcome to the show. This is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. It's a Tuesday, the 15th day of August 2023. By His grace, we're live and we're here. We're yet another edition of the show. Our gratitude will go to Most High God for the rare privilege of being alive and, of course, the opportunity of having another conversation around the top stories making rounds here in our dear Republic. I'll let you into our panel for the morning's conversation shortly. But let's take a look at the front pages of our newspapers. Daily Graphic. 100 million Ghana cedis voted for tourism enterprises. Dr. Awal. 22 assemblies spend 2.4 million cedis and collect 1.3 million cedis revenue. 20,000 street lights for Greater Accra ready. Regional Minister. YEA launches Youth in Garment and Textiles module. After 25 years of litigation, Achim Kotoku Traditional Council members reconcile. Ghanaian Times. Tourism Ministry initiatives. Ghana targets $6 billion over the next 4 years from 2 million international domestic tourist arrivals during Destination Ghana project. YEA launches garment apparel modules in Kumasi. 4 die in canoe disaster at Galinkebu. Special Indian 77th Independence Celebration edition is also in today's Ghanaian Times. Daily Guide. Mahama condemns schools. Bank of Ghana not mandated to report to Parliament. Majority Leader. Emisata takes on Western Chiefs. Tall boss resigns. 21 filed for 8 Eastern Region and PP slots. The New Crusading Guide. Drama at UPSA. NEC rubbishes petition declares Dr. Sadat as UTAC president. Government providing skills and jobs under YEA models. Chief of Staff. Banker family wages war against alleged bisexual marriage. Akwetia Abrade family petitions AG to reopen investigations into murder of Kwejo Boachi. High Court grants acquires rate of possession over Wakpo lands. Tontina 74 saves diabetic patient from amputation. And there's a retraction and apology to Major Anthony Bamford. The Insight. Ashanti MPs against Alan only pursuing selfish interest. NPP MP. We're suffering. Teachers of colleges of education cry. Insist strike will continue. I'm the unifier to ensure effective representation in Ekwetia, Dachi. Tama High Court grants acquires rate of possession of Wakpo lands. Achim Kotoku chieftaincy dispute. Royal Agona family blast Nationals of Chiefs for gazetting rival chief. U.S. House Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic begins political inquisition of scientists. The Daily Statesman. Tourism to power Ghana's economy. Government targets 2 million annual international tourist arrivals. YEA creates job avenues for 84,483 youth in 2023. Majority Leader slams Atuforsun over Bank of Ghana. Reverend Professor Mante ends tenure as PCG moderator in November. MP calls for expedited digitalization of asset declaration. And that's about it. For the front pages, we'll be back shortly.
Enjoy the fruits of your labor, they say. But as humans, aging and physical infirmity stands our way of enjoying our mansions and homes. It often becomes challenging, if not impossible, to use our stairways day in, day out. With portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators, PVs, you are assured of unlimited enjoyment of your mansions and homes. It's a self-supported elevator for vertical movement of humans and goods at homes and offices. The original comes in 3 custom-made models with wheelchair accessibility. Call it luxury, but it's a necessary imperative for vertical mobility. Do not let aging or infirmity limit you. Get one for your easy vertical mobility at home. It's affordable and can be installed in just 3 days without modification to your existing building. It's however easier to incorporate it at the construction stage. We also have traditional Fuji elevators and escalators for your high-rise buildings and malls. Visit Lifts and Elevators Company Limited at Sakumono for your elevators nationwide. For free consultation to call or WhatsApp us on 0200-535-515. Lifts and Elevators, the elevator people.
Betway is your gateway to a theme park full of gaming excitement. A whirlpool of wonder where your favorite games come to life. Where you can take to the skies with max payouts that reach into the millions. All in the palm of your hand. Visit betway.com.gh. Terms and conditions apply. Betway is regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. No under 18. Bet responsibly. Betway. Bet your way.
Do you need a place with a stunning view and serene environment just beneath the Green Mountains with a commercial center and recreational area with an amazing park? Then look no further.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Welcome to Rehoboth Havens, the most affordable yet luxurious gated community located in Damfa, Accra. We have 2 and 3 bedroom houses with spacious park. Let me show you. All of our rooms come with beautiful porcelain tiles, durable fitted kitchen cabinets,
constant water supply,
electricity and water 24/7.
I'm buying this house. Stop processing my papers. Move it. If you're living in Ghana and want an affordable and luxurious house to buy, look no further than Rehoboth Social Housing Limited. Oh, and to those from the diaspora, aren't you tired of living in places that doesn't belong to you? You can also own your house and be your own landlord from Rehoboth Social Housing Limited. I have my own Bosu landlord.
Contact us now. Rehoboth Social Housing. Your housing dream becomes reality.
For over 20 years of serving the world with herbal and alternative medicine, we've been successful in treating complicated medical conditions with a perfect combination of herbal and alternative methods of treatments like homeopathy, naturopathy, reflexology, and many more. We deliver excellent and effective service to people from all walks of life through scientific and traditional means. We have a well-equipped laboratory with advanced diagnostic and treatment devices to help detect your illness, so we know the right medication to be given. At Amen Scientific Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital, we are proud manufacturers of our own herbal medication. Our zeal and passion to save lives with our patients at heart and outstanding achievements since 1996 has won us several awards. That is why we say, go herbal, go Amen. We are located everywhere in all the regions. Amen Scientific Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital. Allahu Shafi. God is the He.
Yamawakwaba, the button Nadum Auto Fix and Accessories. Ahadie, a bano KCC near Wakadia. Ubenya Biabiwaha. Kabian in the house, any new here. Yansu ya winning the four, or best son we ye amount. Nadum Auto Fix and Accessories, ye jume did ye. 24/7. Ye says you engine, brake, battery, yes, a sour tie. Say bano car wash dia. Yawo abe from fidelity says steamer, ye the whole car engine, a brand soon car engine him. Ye sign ye detailing, metra say, ye bet you car no baby amount. Ye ya sa polish car number, come on. And you win munku, ye sa car batteries. Ties, rims, any the keke count. Manadum Auto Fix and Accessories, Emma Oka, and Sini Dadem, then where you mamma. Shisha Yachira Quine what down Suman, I saw it down who are any KFC boy, Henimu, a one crying. So open information, and answer and be Fresh 024 651 9369. Nadum Auto Fix and Accessories.
To help meet your business and private printing needs successfully, we have just the right products and services. At Appointed Time Printing Limited, we specialize in digital printing, offset printing, packaging and security printing. Our innovative designs and complete professional touch on our print products such as posters, flyers, brochures, magazines, poll cards and any other print solution of your choice ensure that our customers are always happily connected to their audience. With our security printing section, our clients are assured of a highly secured and confidential work process from start to finish. At Appointed Time, our prices are very, very competitive. Locate us at the old GNTC building near Swansea Shopping Arcade, Accra. Contact us on 0501 454165, 0501 454167. Appointed Time Printing Limited. Our printing is the solution.
JA Plant Food Ghana Limited has introduced the all-new Jetto X70 Plus to the market. Jetto X70 Plus is a modern, spacious family SUV with a stylish design, advanced technology, and outstanding quality that promises you luxury with affordability. Jetto X70 Plus comes with an exceptional engine warranty of 4 years or 100,000 kilometers, giving you the ultimate peace of mind.
Step into success with Accra Business School. Boost your career with our prestigious MSc degrees from KNUST. Pick from Human Resource Management, Communication and International Relations, Public Affairs. In just 12 months, our MBA can be yours. Dive into our BSc programs in IT Security and Cybercrime, IT Management and Business and Management, endorsed by top universities in Ireland and Wales. We offer flexible entry, payment, and learning options. It's time to unlock your potential and take flight. Visit www.abs.edu.gh or dial 0263 888 555. Let Accra Business School elevate your future today.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. With me on the show this morning, I have the former Member of Parliament for one of the hottest constituencies, actually on the front burner in the news every day. Okankwe North. The Honorable Fuseni Issa. Good morning.
Good morning, Randy. Good morning to you.
We'll come back and speak about Okankwe North. Okay. I will find out whether a word to the wise will be in Okankwe North. Anyway. Also with me on the show this morning is the Member of Parliament for the Yape Kusogu constituency, who's always with his tablets. Always with his tablets. And all he says is that I'll pick out the information for you. I'll get you the data. It's on my machine. I'll get it for you. John Abdullah Jinapo is a Member of Parliament for the Yape Kusogu constituency and also the ranking member on the Mines and Energy Committee. Is that the name of the committee? Mines and Energy?
Mines and Energy.
Yes, okay.
I think it's been separated with the new standing orders.
When will it come into force?
I'm even confused. Whether Parliament has passed it or not.
Okay.
I'm not too sure. Leadership would answer to that.
Okay, so, well, they're all young men, but they would obviously, by the grace of God, grow very, very old, and they need to enjoy the fruits of their labor. But as humans, aging and physical infirmity stands our way. As far as enjoying our homes, mansions and offices are concerned, and it often becomes challenging, if not impossible, to use the stairways day in and day out. But you need not worry any longer, because with portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators, PVEs, you are sure of unlimited enjoyment of your mansions and homes. It's a simple to use self-supported elevator for vertical movement of humans and goods at homes and offices. The original comes in 3 custom-made models with wheelchair accessibility to choose from. You may call it luxury, but it's a necessary imperative of vertical mobility. Do not let aging or infirmity limit you. Get one for your easy vertical mobility at home or office. It's affordable and can be installed within 3 days with modification to your building. Visit Lifts and Elevators Ghana at Sakumono for your solutions and free consultations. You can reach Lifts and Elevators on 0200-535-515, 0200-535-515, or email elevatorsgh@gmail.com. So, if you want to be like the gentleman in the studio with me, okay, they have been to school plenty. You want to secure your future like them, why don't you do that with Accra Business School? Boost your career with your prestigious MSc degrees from KNUST. You can choose from Human Resource Management, Communication and International Marketing, International Relations, Public Affairs or IT Management. In just 12 months, the MBA can be yours. Or dive into their BSc programs in IT Security and Cybercrime, IT Management and Business Management endorsed by top universities in Ireland and Wales. The Accra Business School offers flexible entry payment and learning options convenient to you. It's time to unlock your potential and take position. Visit www.abs.edu.gh or call the Accra Business School on 0263 888 555 or 0263 888 666. Visit the campus at Spintex Road, Christ Square. Let Accra Business School elevate your future today. And what does wealth mean to you? Do you want to live like a tycoon? Remember who's got the mullah, got the power. Ghana's newest lottery game draws live on Adom TV at 9 a.m., 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. daily. Now pick up your phones, tablets and computers and download the Game Park Games app on Play Store. You can also play on their website www.gameparkgames.com, www.gameparkgames.com, or by dialing *946# on all networks. Just choose 4 numbers from 0 to 9. It's easy to play and easy to win. Charlie, make we play the game and make some moolah. Nobody beats our odds in Ghana. Game Park Games, more moolah, more power. This game is regulated by the National Lottery Authority, and it's not for persons under 18. Play responsibly. All right. Okay. So, for the many people who called me, sent text messages to my phone about yesterday's edition of Good Morning Ghana, we're sorry. I apologize for how yesterday. We're extremely sorry. And we promise that it won't happen again. Accept our apologies. So with me on the show this morning, Honorable Hussein Issa, former Member of Parliament to Kankwe North, and John Abujinabo. But Honorable, I read that you're seeking re-election. You have filed. Your constituency is one of the orphan constituencies as far as your party is concerned. But the headlines as far as the constituency is concerned is something else. The last time I read, it appears that there are 5 contestants. Yourself, Ken Crunchy, there's another gentleman, the name is just escaped me. And then those who are making the headlines are the 2 ladies. They say one is the landlady and one is the tenant. So I was going to say Alpha, that's how I call her. Fiakoto. Okay. So Fiakoto is the Okankwe North landlady. And then another friend of mine, the Deputy Minister of Trade, and MP for Equiapim, is it not? Amadukwa. She is known as the Okankwe North tenant. And it's the headlines. The bloggers are having a field day and all that. What's going on?
Right, let me say good morning to you.
Yes.
Good morning to my brother here. JJ, we call him.
Yes.
Let me say good morning again to the constituents in Okankwe North, especially the delegates and members, sympathizers of the New Patriotic Party. Unfortunately, Okankwe North today is being described as is an orphan constituency.
Yes.
And Randy, I should say that you are not also a stranger to that constituency. I mean, you know how we started off
we are the proper
in the very early 90s. The very early 90s, the political temperature within the constituency, how it has evolved over time, accumulating in the division of the constituency in 2012.
Yeah.
Unless we were born in the constituency, we have grown in the constituency in 2012. Yeah. Okay. I was born in the constituency. I have grown in there, and by the grace of God, I got opportunity to represent the constituency in the 7th Parliament. The aftermath effects is what happened in the general elections in 2020, and so today we are an orphan constituency. By the guidelines of the New Patriotic Party, we have started preparations towards election 2024. So up until about, I think last week, nominations were open for those interested in representing the constituency in the 9th Parliament to file their nominations. At the close of nominations, there were actually 6 of us. Six of us, yeah. Beside myself and Ken, there are 2 other gentlemen.
Oh, okay.
And then 2 ladies.
Okay.
You see, when you're in a house and you own a house, it's very obvious. It is not for somebody to come from somewhere to describe you as whether or not you're a landlord or you're a tenant or you're a landlord. I'm not really too sure, but that is where we are today. I come from the constituency. I have the constituency at heart. My interest in the constituency now is to unite the constituency. One of the, in fact, the cardinal factor that led to us losing the general elections in 2020 is the lack of unity within the party. And so for us to be able to annex the seat back, we need that united front as a party. In 2020, there were just 2 of us at the primaries, myself and Ken Kwanchi. One of the also factors was that we didn't have enough time from the primaries going into the general elections. It was just about 5 months. And you know, time heals wounds. Within the 5 months, we were unable to attain the level of unity that we required to go into the general election. And so a number of issues led to some skirt and blouse appearing, because the president actually won in that constituency. It means that the New Patriotic Party cannot be washed away within the constituency. We have an opportunity again. And for those of us who have the constituency at heart, it is not about infighting. It's not a time to throw jabs at each other. My vision, my ultimate aim is to unite the party and win the seat back. So I am not going to be dissuaded by what is happening in the media front or by others who hitherto were not known. In fact, all those people we are talking about who today are fighting and claiming to be landlords and tenants or landguards or however they describe themselves, up until 2020 elections, they were not in the constituency. In fact, some of them came to the constituency just over last Easter. And so we are not going to allow them to actually bring that level of instability in the constituency. We have witnessed it before. We have experienced it before. And it is not a behavior that we are going to promote in the constituency, because if we go that route, it means that it's going to be more difficult for us to win the seat. So for me and my team and most of the party members within the constituency, it is unity towards election 2024. And we will not allow some of these issues to dissuade us or actually destabilize the constituency going forward.
All right. Okay. Well, just for you are waiting for the
general election. Yes, I was lucky I went on a post.
But have they fixed the date for the election?
No, the party, from the close of nomination, everything was to be decided. You know, we are having a concurrent presidential primaries running same time as the orphan constituency. So,
but the presidential primary is November.
That's the ultimate. But the first round, the super delegates is in next week, I think 26 August, in about 2 weeks' time. So we are waiting upon the party to give further directions and further dates as the processes evolve. Right.
Will this cost you more?
I am not too sure if cost is something that we should. I mean, I think that a party should really get winnable candidates at all costs. I mean, if it's going to cost us, but get winnable.
Yeah, but the
candidates,
reality, you've been in these elections for like 3 times already.
It's my 4th time going.
Yes, so well, you're dealing with your old foe in court.
Yeah.
Ken Crunchy, and then now you have the ladies coming in and all that. It appears to suggest that will be one damn expensive election.
It is. The processes, the constituency has evolved. First time I was involved in the primaries was in 2012 when the constituency was actually divided. I contested Elizabeth Saki. I lost to her. I stood the grounds. I supported her. We won elections in 2012. I mean, we won the constituency. I took over in 2016. We won even more handsomely. And then in 2020 we lost. At the first time in 2012, there were only about 300 delegates. I mean, the electoral college was about 300. And in 2015, it was about 600. No, it was about 400 and something. In 2020, it was 600. Today, it's about 830.
Hey.
So it has evolved over time. Just because of the creation of new polling stations.
830.
Yeah.
Times.
There are 162 polling stations, and we also have the Council of Elders, the patrons, and the executive body also having. So that's the size of the electoral college, and so it's evolved over time. Politics itself is evolved. I mean, so the expansion, the numbers, and all of that is getting. It's
1,600 delegates. Your place
in your constituency.
Okay, but he will be paying Accra rates. So,
Randy, you'll be amazed.
Accra rates. The last time I was monitoring yours, the people were carrying fridges and gas cylinder and
opposition former MP paying Accra rate times 800.
You see, 830 times Accra rate.
And now he has a landlady and a tenant to contend with.
Perhaps in between is a land guard somewhere. Perhaps in between there is a land guard.
A land guard too.
A land guard is in there. So we'll see how this is evolved. But you see, the truth is that that aspect of our politics, I mean, most political actors will tell you, it's very unsustainable, and we need to do something about it. As to what we can do about it, I still don't know.
It's not like it's even decreasing.
It makes our democratic experimentation or whatever we have decided to it makes it very unsustainable. I don't know. I mean, because over time, looking at when I first contested elections in 2012 and the last time I contested in 2020 and looking at what is ahead of us,
one of you will contest in Teresa.
Yeah, whoever wins, yeah.
Obana.
And that's all going to Obana. She knows she's living on borrowed time. And that's all going to Obana. You can't quit enough. It's one to watch, it will be exciting. But I just hope that we play it fair. The people in charge of the elections who actually play by the rules. I mean, we have a constitution. The national constitution is there. The party constitution is there. The party itself is issued out guidelines. And hopefully, if we go by all of this, we should actually have a winnable candidate. And at the end of the day, I believe that I stand tall among those who have filed, and I have a track record within the constituency, which to compare to our current sitting member of parliament, who is actually missing from the constituency. So it is one to watch, and it will be exciting. At the end of the day, I'm going to come out with flying colors. once again.
Okay, all right. Okay.
You mean your MP is missing from the constituency?
She doesn't believe in it. We don't see her.
But I always see
when your
pictures
when your private first.
Oh, I have been there, JJ.
Okay,
I've been there.
Okay. So let me just say a happy belated 50th birthday to the former Deputy Attorney General Joe Kwenka. Sunday he turned 50. So happy belated 50th birthday to you. Former deputy.
My house prefect.
Your house prefect. Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
I hear he rode a bicycle to present his forms. Nomination forms.
Oh, wow.
So
whatever
he rode a Buzanga
bicycle
to go and present his forms.
So what happened?
He's a man of the people.
Is a good man.
You ride a bicycle to Bulaga.
Wasn't Mubarak riding a bicycle to Parliament?
Where is he now? Politicians can do this.
Penka is a good man and a very.
Anyway, I wish him a belated happy birthday as well.
Happy birthday, Honorable Penka.
My Nkrumah house prefect.
JJ.
Boss.
Okay. So I'm happy I have two finance persons on the show today. The Bank of Ghana is giving me too many things to think about. And the first thing, I was trying to reason up with some finance friends of mine, and finance professionals who are friends of mine. And I, from a non-financial point of view, was asking questions about how the DDEP could be a key factor for the BOG in 2022, and those issues have been raised. But the financials for the BOG in 2022, you, the minority, JJ, you raised issues. The Bank of Ghana responded to you. And then you also fired a response to the Bank of Ghana. Okay. The response is about 10 pages, and I guess the key things that you raised, the key things, is not to suggest that the other things are not important. But the key things were, one, the issue about whether the finance minister reported to Parliament as prescribed by law. And also the issue of fiscal overruns and debt distress instead of COVID-19 and Russia-Ukraine. And then you also raised the issue of the debts. You raised the issue of the ill-timed head office. It appears that persons like Professor Ade agree with you. You raised issues about statements by the external auditors in terms of the issue of solvency and impairment and all that. And there are non-finance people who also have raised the issue of how can a company or an entity that has made a 60 billion cedi loss say that don't talk about bankruptcy or insolvency or anything of that sort. And your continuous call on the Bank of Ghana to the leadership of the Bank of Ghana to resign. You give them 21 days, which will expire by the end of this month. And if you listen to the media, people have raised a lot of issues about the expenditure of the bank. In their statement, they sought to explain it. I have a friend who simply looked at their costs, what they spent on is a fuel, insurance, and maintenance, and calculated a number of brand new Land Cruisers that could be bought from what they spent in just a year. on all that. Look, for some people, they think that it's no big deal. I mean, it's no big deal. The central bank has made a loss of 60 billion, so what? They print the money, they'll print again.
Yesterday, I was listening to this very program, and one of the panelists said, what loss? So they printed money, and so what? And at the same time, the lady was saying that she's an economist. I said, wow.
I would appreciate it if you don't.
No, I'm not mentioning
make
it.
Yesterday
a
reference point.
Well, I listened to someone and he said, oh, they're just printing money, and so what? And then the person said, if the person did not say she's an economist, I'll just assume that people think that paper money is just paper. But when you prefix that by boasting that you're an economist, and yes, you say that all the Bank of Ghana did was to print paper money. That beats me. Because the core function of money is a medium of exchange. It's a store of value, unit of account, and all those things. So to the extent that it's a store of value.
I am an account. I am a carpenter. Do you doubt me?
I don't doubt you.
So that's it.
Yeah, but you are not boasting that you are an economist.
I'm boasting to you. I'm a carpenter.
If I can sit here and I say that, and for those who say that it is nothing, it is nothing, and especially those who should know better, I get very, very worried when I hear such comments that there's nothing wrong with the Bank of Ghana printing about 70 billion and dumping it into the economy, and that we shouldn't talk about it. It's normal. And so the first question is that it's normal in which jurisdiction? How many countries do you find the central bank pumping such huge sums of money into an economy the size of Ghana? I mean, it's not done anywhere. The only essence of money is what you call a marching order. So if total goods in terms of transaction is valued at a certain amount, to ensure transactions and all that, you put in that value of money in order to match it. If you do more than that, you are hitting the economy, and that will result in very, very serious inflation. And I'm not surprised that inflation went to 54%. Randy, just quickly, we are talking of managing an economy.
Before you go on, help me understand something. You make the claim that in 2021, the central bank printed 35 billion?
About 35 billion.
Billion for government.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They've not disputed it.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2021, the total revenue was 70 billion.
Yes, I can just pull the budget for you.
Yes,
as you talk.
total revenue was 70 billion.
No.
So we're suggesting that the government had like 105 billion. 70 billion from revenue and 35 billion money printed by the central bank. Is that how it works?
Just a moment. I want to pull the 2021.
Yes.
I'll take a screen.
Revenue.
So total revenue.
Yes.
2021 provisional term was 70 billion.
70, yes.
Yeah.
And the central bank is supposed to have printed 35 billion.
Yes, and then so you see, you look at the revenue, and then you look at 2021 expenditure. Let me just pull that one as 109 billion. So the difference between your revenue and your total expenditure is what you call the budget deficit.
Yes.
So when you have a deficit, you have to finance it.
Yes.
How do you close that gap?
Yes.
That's where then you go to the memorandum, which is the financing.
Yes.
The financing will then determine where you are going to get that money to close that gap.
Yes.
Domestically. But inherent in that is also the external side. Because when you look at, just quickly, what you see as a IS and LM curve, that's normally what you do internally. But then you have a balance of payments.
Does the 70 billion refer to tax revenue?
Total revenue.
Total revenue. So it includes loans and everything?
No.
Yes.
You have to watch the loans.
Yes. So that's
there are
the
two
point I'm
aspects
making.
of the loans.
So that's why I was zeroing in on tax revenue. Yes. So that's 70 billion.
tax revenue will be a little below 70 billion because government
Grants.
revenue sources
Yes.
could be other. So
Yes.
grants could come
Yes.
in. Maybe government agencies are paying dividends.
Yes.
And some other
Yes.
things that government might not even classify as tax.
Yes.
So that is revenue.
Yes.
But you are spending. So when you expenditure.
So that's minus the loans.
That is it.
For that year.
That is it.
So all the domestic mobilization, i.e. treasury bills and
No,
others,
they are not treated as normal
yes.
revenue. No, you
Okay.
cannot.
Yes.
And even the loans, just quickly, some of the loans you just borrow to refinance or to repay existing debt.
Yes.
So it's zero in nets of.
Yes.
So that even does not even become part of
Yes.
your real debt. Because
Yes.
by borrow you
but
pay.
your
to
total
pay debt.
expenditure includes your debt financing.
Yes, debt financing are two components. Mostly is the interest component.
Yes.
Mostly the because amortization is like negative financing. So mostly is the interest component. It's the amortization where we have this issue of below the line, above the line. So normally you concentrate on the interest component, which is real expenditure. So if you look at the differential, it will normally be the interest component. And then what I describe as a balance of payment, because Ghana is not an island. We trade with other countries. And so we export, we import, which then hits the current account. So when there's a current account deficit, you either finance it with a capital account, which means you are borrowing to finance, or you go into the reserves, which is the ORT, Official Reserve Transfer or the transaction, to borrow, which means you are drawing down on your reserves. So if you don't draw down on the reserves and you borrow to finance that gap in terms of both domestic and external, that becomes what you call the financing. So I don't know if
You have.
I don't know if
you have. So
no, I thought maybe you want
so
to
in
add
2021, we made revenue
something.
of 70 billion.
Yes.
And then the Bank of Ghana printed 35.
That is it.
Okay. And in 2022, the revenue was
2022
80.
revenue is I'll just pull it for you as we go ahead. Let me just a moment. 2022 total revenue 96 billion.
Okay, so we made a total revenue of 96 billion.
Yes, and the expenditure is 165 billion.
Okay.
So 2022
Yes.
we projected to collect 98 billion.
Yes,
That's
and we
total
collected
revenue.
96.
We underperformed 96. And
But
we said that we'll spend
performance wasn't too significant.
But that's 2 billion. And then we said we'll spend 133 billion.
Yes.
We ended up spending 165 billion.
In 2022.
Yes, bringing a deficit of 32 billion.
And the central bank printed 45 billion.
Beyond that are what you call commitments.
Yes.
You see, you are doing a current year.
Yes.
Revenue expenditure. There's a deficit. But there are other
Yeah.
deficits, what you call arrears.
Yes.
Sitting. So when you come and add all that, overall balance moved to 54 billion.
Yeah.
And then the central bank printed about 48 billion to
48.
fill that gap. Yes.
Okay.
Because amortization is normally not captured direct, when it is due and government is unable to pay, the central bank then prints money and pays for that. The central bank then described that as overdraft.
Yes.
Because we raised this issue in the 2022 media.
Yes.
We said, no. We are seeing some unusual transfers from the Bank of Ghana. And we think that they are printing money. The central bank issued a statement.
5 pages.
Yes, and said we are wrong. And there's just an overdraft. An overdraft is a short-term instrument. Then when it goes beyond 1 year, it's a long-term instrument. So an overdraft, normally, maybe the month has ended, my salary is just 1,000. But me watch them kakra. So I tell the bank, give me 200. My next salary, please deduct it. That's more or less like an overdraft, very short. So the Bank of Ghana described us as an overdraft. Then when the year ended, for some strange reason, they converted it into a long-term debt instrument and called it a loan, which was about 37 billion. But when you don't pay to, the overdraft also attracts some interest. So when you put all that together, it shifts you into another bracket. And even the IMF money, I'm seeing it here, that the central bank wants to write that off as well. It's another 10 billion. So when you add the 10 to the 37, that takes you to the 48 billion. But strangely, when you look at the DDE, and the central bank wants us to believe that they are in this situation because of the DDE. Yesterday in the evening, I spent some time reading about the DDE. Both what the minister presented, what is captured in the budget, and what is currently on their website. Let me just, no, I pulled it out here. So, Domestic Debt Exchange, Ministry of Finance. It is titled Domestic Debt Exchange. This is the first issuance of, they are giving us the details. And if you go to page 7 of their document, not appendix, you see the table.
From the Ministry of Finance.
From the Ministry of Finance. It gives a breakdown of the total.
Before you go on, a couple of our viewers have sent me a text.
Okay.
They said they didn't get the clarification. The question I asked you, whether the money printed by the central bank is part of the total revenue or separate from it.
It is not part of the total revenue.
Yes.
Total revenue is simply tax revenue and some. I'll even pull the other sources. That's not normally much. So let me put the media review. Okay, I've pulled. Let me just. We're all learning. So if you want to know Ghana's total revenue, it is called total revenue and grants. You get the point. Then below it, you see what you call domestic revenue. A chunk of it, like you said, is tax revenue. That is the chunk of the revenue. It's, sometimes it accounts for about 90% of the revenue. Beyond that are a little like social contribution, which is SNIT. You have to capture that. Non-tax revenue, which is just 23 billion here, based on the media review. And then even below it is import duties. So normally government may not classify duties, levies, and all those things as direct tax revenue. But let me put on record that the Bank of Ghana's financing is not part of our tax revenue.
Right. Okay.
It is rather to finance the deficit. So let me just give you an example, and I hope viewers will appreciate that. My monthly salary is 10,000. But at the end of the month, I've consumed electricity, water, school fees is accrued, everything. When I put them together, it's say 15,000. So the difference between my monthly revenue, which we call total revenue, minus my monthly expenditure when I put everything together, is 5,000. That's the deficit. I then go to a bank and say, I have a deficit of 5,000. I want to borrow money to fill that gap. That is what the Bank of Ghana did. And that is not part of our tax revenue or even total revenue.
All right, so move on.
So I said that I then checked the DDE as government itself put it out. Initially, they were looking at about 130-something billion. And if you look at the details, Bank of Ghana is not listed there. Unless anybody watching can send me some evidence to confirm whether that amount is listed. It's not. I have checked. So in all what they call the 85% success and all that, the Bank of Ghana's portion was not listed there. And if you go and look at this year's media budget review, and I took a screenshot of it because it like hit me. The government itself says that the 37 billion is a short-term instrument. Now, the president assured us that there will be no haircut, if you remember.
Oh, but we've gone past that.
No, I'm making a point to you. When we said, look, it's not true, they said it's in respect of the principal.
Yes.
So the DDE was not to reduce the principal. It was to extend the tenor of payment and to reduce the interest component on that principal. These were the two key issues. So payment is due like 2023. I say, I can't pay you. Push it to 2025, 2028. Then the coupon payment, which is the interest that I should have been paying, instead of paying, say, 19%, I'm reducing it to 5% and 10% over the period. So strictly speaking, DD is not supposed to affect principal. What the Bank of Ghana is done is to write off the principal. That's what they've done. 50%. I'm saying that they've written off the principal of about 48 billion. That is what they've done. It doesn't even sit with the DDE, because the DDE, based on what I'm reading for you on their own website and what they presented to Parliament, did not involve writing off principals. Moreover, the Bank of Ghana insisted that this money is an overdraft, only to turn around, convert it into a long-term debt, and then write it off. That is serious. And you see, for people who say, oh, this is nothing, it doesn't mean anything, I'm very, very surprised. When we do a trend analysis of the Bank of Ghana's financials, they make on average a profit of about 1 billion. Sometimes a little, sometimes below. Now, when you make profit, Randy, what you do is that you normally would pay dividend. But based on the Bank of Ghana Act, they cannot pay dividend. What they will do is to take out some deductions and transfer the rest to the consolidated fund. So in 2016, when we were leaving office, we made a profit of around 1 billion. I'm just rounding up. Now, with you dispute that, Hussein? I saw you doing this. If you have the figures here, I can pull it for you. As I'm rounding it up. But we made a profit, so let's put it on.
It wasn't a profit. 2016 wasn't a profit.
I'll pull it out. So we'll check it. I mean, we can always check their financial. I have it here.
Oh, you're right.
I'm right. I'm right. Okay. Yeah, check the figures.
No, we even have all
I check the figures. They are here. They are here. I mean,
we have all the slides.
Before I come here, I do a lot of.
I have a BOG financials from 2010.
It's about 700. Is that not it?
Yeah, 700 something.
700. Yeah. So I know what I'm talking about. So normally, when you make a profit, Randy, and you don't pay dividend, you transfer that profit to shareholders, which then increases your stated capital. So your capital goes up. And the essence of having a capital is that shareholders are residual owners of the company. So if there's a loss, you then go to the capital and draw down. Now what I'm saying is that now the capital is in a negative of 55 billion. So what it means, every year when you make profits, the net profit, you use that to reduce the stated capital. So we need that on average at this 1 billion, 55 years before we can clean it. 55 years.
What if government decides to introduce a Bank of Ghana recovery levy?
We haven't seen that, but I'm saying that holding all things constant today. And don't forget the government has already introduced a financial sector recovery levy. That is already there. 55 billion. Why should government do that? Because it's no more on government's books. Bank of Ghana has written it off. So government will no longer recognize that as part of its liability because it's been written off. So therefore, there's a major problem. And when you have such a major problem, I mean, it's only rational that you cut down on expenditure. That is not the year to build a $250 million Bank of Ghana headquarters and tell us that you are targeting ECO. When you yourself, you are not meeting all the criteria. The ECO that you say you are targeting, you are not meeting all the criteria. And I had some people from the majority say that, look, the Bank of Ghana is not supposed to report to Parliament. That's not true. Nobody has told the Bank of Ghana to report to Parliament on a daily basis. We are saying that there's a provision. There are two areas where the Bank of Ghana should come. The Bank of Ghana shall hold all foreign exchange of the state and be responsible to Parliament in the performance of its function in relation to the foreign exchange. So when it comes to foreign exchange, they have to report to Parliament. Then the second one, that is the 30. In the event of an emergency, the governor, the minister, and the controller and accountant general shall meet to decide the limit of borrowing that should be made by government. Randy, this is so clear that if there is an emergency, the three of you sit down and determine the limit. And that when you determine the limit, report back to Parliament. Has that been done? Has that been done? Have they complied with this?
The central bank in their statement said that the minister made a statement to Parliament in a budget or something, and as far as they're concerned, that has been done.
That is not true. And so what was the limit? That's all. You see, and that's why the central bank is creating unnecessary problems.
First of all, even with the limit, the law says that it's the governor, the minister, and the controller who must sit.
Yes.
So the central bank ought to be telling us if indeed that has been done. They ought to be telling us that.
And what was the limit?
We've had that meeting. The meeting was the meeting decided on the limit, and the minister has informed Parliament about the limit, but they don't tell us about any such meeting. What the law says should happen,
and the limit they agreed
on. So now you don't even know whether what they are talking about is the limit, or whether they are talking about the 5% that they are supposed to inform the minister, and for the minister to inform Parliament and tell Parliament about which remedial measures are being taken. Because the thing are in two fronts. Yes. One has to do with hitting the 5%, and then the governor informing the minister, and the minister informing Parliament, and also telling Parliament about the remedial measures. And the second one has to do with exceeding the limit, and having that meeting with the finance minister and the controller, setting the new limit, and the minister informing Parliament. So, with the answer of the central bank, you don't know which one.
That is it. So, what is the limit? That's all. That's what we're asking the central bank. No limit. What limit did you agree? There's no limit. No limit.
And you, in any case, has the Minister of Finance informed Parliament? Two things. First of all, the finance minister informed Parliament that the governor has informed me that we have reached our limit. Yes, I can confirm that we have reached it. And these are the remedial measures we are taking. Or two, has the finance minister informed Parliament that
we've exceeded the 5%.
That in conformity with section
whatever
of the law, we met with the governor and the controller, and that we have set a new limit. So Parliament, this is the new limit that has been set. Have those two things happened?
And when we talk of a loan, a loan has terms and conditions.
No, I'm first of all asking you whether those two things have occurred.
They did not. Like we are saying, this is an afterthought. Where is it? Tell me. Tell me what's the limit?
No, you can question.
No, has Parliament been informed?
We have not been informed.
If you haven't, you know, as a member of Parliament, you have.
No, let's even agree that we've not been informed.
Yeah.
If we've been informed, that's a different.
Have you been informed that the three have met and the new limit has been set?
No, we have not.
1, 2. Have you been informed that the central bank governor has informed the finance minister that we reach the limit?
No.
Whether it's in 2021 or 2022.
No.
And that these are the remedial measures.
No, we have not. In fact, my issue is even with this limit.
Yeah.
You haven't fulfilled that requirement. And so, to throw the minister and say, oh, is the minister who is supposed to do that? I mean, I find it very, very unfortunate. And I think that the central bank can do better. Because where we are headed, we ought to be very, very, very careful. You see where I hold the central bank responsible. When the minister decided that he will overrun the budget by about 54 billion, the central bank should have insisted that no, there should be some fiscal prudence. And that where you are going is unsustainable. But all the central bank did was that anytime the minister wanted money, they print the money and give it to him. But you see, what worries me is even the central bank's own monetary position. Because when it comes to central banks, we've seen they have three main tools for ensuring that they achieve their monetary targets. The first one has to do with the open market operation. The second one has to do with the required reserves. And the third one has to do with the policy rate. If you look at what they were doing to help government, all these three, they did not meet it. So clearly, as for printing money, it's not in doubt that they were printing money. But you see, whilst the central bank was doing that, it was telling Ghanaians that the economy is heated, that there is too much currency in the market. So they are increasing the prime rate. I don't know if you get my point.
Yes.
That they said that, look, the prime rate, which is the monetary policy rate, as of July 2023, is 30%. And you know why they are doing that? They say there's too much currency in the system. Who caused it? You see the double standard. You are printing so much currency and dumping it in the market. Then you turn
on
around.
On the blind side of everybody.
On the blind side of everybody.
Minus government, yes, minus government. Everybody else but government.
And then turn around and come and tell Ghanaians that, look. see, when they do this, I think that they think that we are all like we are daft because you tell like they call the monetary policy and say, oh no, we have to tame inflation.
Yes.
And so we are increasing the policy rate in order to tame inflation.
Yes.
Because there's too much currency in there. And when you read the monetary policy committee report, look at the M1. Because the M1 has to do with currency in circulation and demand deposit. You see, it's spiking. And if it's spiking, it means that there's too much money in the system. And when you put too much money in the system...
And the Bank of Ghana knows why there's too much money in the system. Because they are.
No, they know.
They are those causing it.
Yes, they are the ones causing it.
And then they come and pretend that it is something
else. And say that we are jerking. And you know what they do to ordinary Ghanaians? Because when you print money, there's a financial term called seigniorage. Oh, let me just wind up there.
No,
yes. So when you do that, Randy, all you are doing is that you are dumping paper money in an economy that is not backed by any value. Immediately, it means that so much money chasing the same goods or fewer goods. It spikes inflation. And so you are seeing inflation hovering around 40-50%. The overall effect is that you and I, the ordinary Ghanaian, who is working and sweating, our purchasing power continuously gets reduced. It's not government that's suffering, no. It's not Bank of Ghana that's suffering. It's the ordinary Ghanaian. The ordinary Ghanaian is suffering because of a very bad fiscal policy decision by government and a very bad monetary policy by the Bank of Ghana. And when you do this too, it also affects your balance of payment, which also tends to affect the exchange rate. So clearly, look, this is a complete mess. And when we talk about this, we are told that no, don't worry, it is normal. Even if government, and that for me is the most important part, if government was spending these monies in some critical sectors of the economy, then you will normally be witnessing three things. You will see employment increase, you would see inflation being tamed, and you will see the economy growing. All these three are negative as we speak, in terms of the projection. Because overall GDP, we projected to grow 3.7. It grew by 3.1. Non-oil GDP, which is the key one, we projected 4.3. We grew 3.8. End-year inflation, we projected 28%. It ended 54%. Fiscal deficit, we projected 6. We ended 10. Primary balance, we projected a positive figure. We ended a negative 3.2. Import cover, we projected 3.5. We ended 2.7. So all the indicators, we missed them and performed abysmally. The World Bank has just released a report that about 850,000 people will move back into the poverty bracket. So when we talk about this, these are serious issues. Look, these are issues that hit you and I. These are issues that hit the market woman. These are issues that hit the ordinary worker who previously could buy a bag of rice. But because of Bank of Ghana's reckless, inept way of managing the economy, you can no longer buy a bag of rice. Inflation is at 50%. And that is the rate at which prices increase. So if it was like 100 cedi, now it's gone to 150 cedi. Your salary is the same. You, the ordinary worker, your salary has not increased. And yet look at how prices are increasing. Pardon?
They have cola.
It's been withdrawn.
What is that?
Changed.
Please. And people are suffering.
It's a bitter one.
So, those watching this program, when we talk about these issues, it goes to the core of the ordinary Ghanaian.
Right.
And these are serious matters. So I hope that things would have gotten better. But when you look at even the 2023 outcome.
Okay, so we'll come back to that.
It's getting worse, but I'll deal with that.
As I was speaking with Fuseni. So Fuseni, just hold on, let's take a break. I don't want to interrupt you. And then when we return, I know that you have a lot to tell us in the case of the Bank of Ghana. We'll be back shortly.
Sometimes the unexpected happens and the hero falls down in his own story. But he needs not stay down for long. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance is your trusted health partner. Whether an individual building a business, with Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern. For the best health insurance solutions for corporate institutions, groups and associations, families and individuals, choose Cosmopolitan Health Insurance from our over 700 accredited health service providers nationwide. Call us on 0302 540 668 or 0501 678 547 for all your health insurance solutions. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern.
Enjoy the fruits of your labor, they say. But as humans, aging and physical infirmity stands our way of enjoying our mansions and homes. It often becomes challenging, if not impossible, to use our stairways day in, day out. With portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators, PVs, you are assured of unlimited enjoyment of your mansions and homes. It's a self-supported elevator for vertical movement of humans and goods at homes and offices. The original comes in 3 custom-made models with wheelchair accessibility. Call it luxury, but it's a necessary imperative for vertical mobility. Do not let aging or infirmity limit you. Get one for your easy vertical mobility at home. It's affordable and can be installed in just 3 days without modification to your existing building. It's however easier to incorporate it at the construction stage. We also have traditional Fuji elevators and escalators for your high-rise buildings and malls. Visit Lifts and Elevators Company Limited at Sakumono for your elevators nationwide. For free consultation to call or WhatsApp us on 0200-535-515. Lifts and Elevators, the elevator people.
My name is John, and this is my long-time crush, my cookie dipped in strawberry yogurt. On this scorching hot afternoon on our way back from a long job hunt, we met this good Samaritan who offered us 6 weeks later.
A special wedding reception for our bride and groom.
And there she is, my cookie, dipped in someone else's yogurt.
Who holds the moolah, calls the shots, play game by games, the easiest lottery to play and win. Big 4 numbers from 0 to 9 up to 3 times daily to become one of our daily lucky winners. Dial *946# to play now, or you can also play online at www.gameparkgames.com. Game Park is regulated by the National Lottery Authority.
Way is your gateway to a theme park full of gaming excitement. A whirlpool of wonder where your favorite games come to life. Where you can take to the skies with max payouts that reach into the millions. All in the palm of your hand. Visit betway.com.gh. Terms and conditions apply. Betway is regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. No under 18. Bet responsibly. Betway. Bet your way.
My son, there's more blessing in giving than receiving. When you fear for you and couple the makers in
The pneumatological aberration of the Lord revealed unto me this night, that me and my household should go out into the world and bless the world.
Makers Electronics Company Limited. Up to 67% discount. Our selected appliances.
This is what I call quintessential immaculatability.
The Makers Electronics Company Limited. Taifa Burkina Highway. Amasa Mainzongo Junction. At the K Pharmacy Dining. Oyer Fateman Boga Junction. Ashaman Valco Flat. Kumasi. Ahinema Kokobin. Asafu Bwachi Hospital Junction.
Sakrani. Number 9 market.
Tell mom and dad about the Makers Blessing Attack program.
From 0552 222 253 and 0552 222 254. Terms and conditions apply.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. And as the Makers Electronics Blessing Attack promo, rush the Makers Electronics Company Limited for up to 67% discount on selected appliances such as brands such as Samsung, LG Moved, NASCO, TCL Media, and Toshiba. They have quality but affordable electronic appliances with 2-year manufacturer defect warranty. So visit the showrooms of the Makers Electronics Company Limited at Taifa Burkina Highway, Amasaman Zongo Junction, Oyarifa Mamboga Junction, Kaswa New Market, Tashiaman Valco Flat, Kumasi Ahinima Kokobin, Takrade Fiekuma number 9 Market. Or you can reach the Makers Electronics Company Limited on 055-2222-253 or 055-2222-254. The Makers Electronics Company Limited, large and in charge with quality but affordable home appliances and consumer electronics. Terms and conditions apply. And are you ready to get way more back with Betway in the new season? Use the golden booking code that you can find on the Betway site and place your risk-free bet from 25th to 27th of August. Guaranteed to give you 100% back as a free bet, up to 50 cedis if you lose. This is regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. It's not for persons under the age of 18. Terms and conditions apply. Betway, bet your way. And the original 91.9 FM, original TV, and Metro TV brings you the most exciting street soccer competition ever in Accra. Yes, this Friday and every other Friday, the street soccer train will come to a location near you. Activities include ball juggling, or popularly known as totals, penalty shootout, arm wrestling, Q&A, and many others. Do you have the stamina and confidence? Then meet the train at a lorry station on open street near you to show your skills and win unlimited prizes. Original street soccer competition is proudly sponsored by Kasapreku Storm Energy Drink and supported by Pork Masters. All right, Hussein.
Randy.
Yes, Bank of Ghana.
Randy, you know, financial reports or annual reports are done within specific context. And however the central bank performs in a given year depends on the environment or the prevailing circumstances within which the central bank performs. We need to keep it at the back of our minds that the Bank of Ghana is not your typical banking entity set up for profitability. And so we can look at the profitability or otherwise of the central bank. But for me, it is not an indicator that we should actually hammer on and politicize like we're doing now. The bank had gone on to say that despite its reported losses in 2022, it remains policy solvent, and that for me is very important. Randy will recall that 2022 was a very turbulent one. As a nation, we had decided at the tail end of the year to undertake the domestic debt exchange program. We had experienced a year where the macroeconomic stability was was not too favorable. We had experienced a year where our currency had depreciated year on year by about 30%. We had experienced a year where inflation had moved from 12 years, within 12 months, from about 12% to 54%. So all of these things get into the performance of the central bank, and we cannot look at the performance of the central bank without taking all this into consideration. Within the same year, the policy rate had moved from about 14% in January to 20% or 27% in December. Even the movement alone within the policy rate means that the open market operations, I mean the short-term borrowing, that's the borrowing and or the short-term activities of the central bank on the open market operations will cause it to lose quite significant amount in the interest spread. Because if you begin the year at the policy rate of 14% and you end the year at the rate of 27%, certainly the central bank is going to be exposed and is going to cause quite significant losses in interest. This is a year where, when we decided to do the domestic debt exchange, the minister had gone to Parliament and announced to the whole world that this is what we are going to undertake before the close of the year. Within the process, the central bank, being the bank of the government, had to actively partake. And in the participation, I mean, the central bank holds both marketable and non-marketable securities on behalf of government. And the government also had to meet a threshold to be able to qualify for the fund program that we had applied for in July of 2022. So some of these movements, I mean, will have dire consequences on whatever the central bank reports. Within the same year, we had seen hikes in fuel prices at a point from about 6 cedis per litre to at the height to about 16 cedis. We had seen currency that I had mentioned earlier. We had seen inflation, we had seen adjustment in tariffs, and all of that. So if the central bank reports such level of losses, if you look at what pertains in other jurisdictions, it is not out of character. In fact, if we take the abnormal items, especially the DDE and the write-offs the central bank had to do, if you look at the impact of the cocoa board transactions on the central bank, what actually happened with the central bank in 2022 was in tandem to what other central banks were reporting across the globe. In Europe, I mean, you could look at the Bank of England reports. You can look at the Bank of England reports and all of that. I mean, central banks, given that we actually experienced a year where inflation, I mean, for a jurisdiction like...
Why are we not using comparisons of central banks amongst our peers?
The problem also is that sometimes it's also the information that is available.
And
you see, the Francophone countries have a unique situation.
So use Nigeria,
Uganda,
you see,
Ethiopia,
so use Nigeria, use Malawi,
sometimes,
use Kenya.
Like I have said, sometimes it's very easy to get information from those. I mean, Bloomberg. I mean, for me, it's very easy to assess what is happening in the Bank of England than to actually see or assess what is happening in the Bank of Uganda. And when we say
in opposition, you have all the information about Cote d'Ivoire.
I can correct.
Comparison,
I can recollect what the comparison was there.
No
but
problem.
I'm talking about
no
today.
problem.
I'm talking about today.
Okay.
So we keep referring to those jurisdictions because the information is very much available. And so the reportage of the central bank, if you take out the extraordinary issues, no, you can't. You can't
Bank of England.
I beg you. JJ, I was very quiet. And you had about an hour.
With the Bank of Ghana
you had an hour uninterrupted.
Apologies. Please.
It's okay. You have opened the Bank of England financial.
You
so
see,
you finish.
We're running a budget where at the time when we needed to pursue fiscal consolidation, at the same time we needed also to grow the economy. Because given where we had come from the economy that we experienced in 2020, given the impact of global geopolitics since 2020, there was a need to expand the economy, grow the economy. At the same time, there was a need to also keep a tab on the monetary bit. So it was a case of the physical and the monetary having to work together. And at the end of the day, the central bank still remains the bank for government. And so if government is undertaking important economic policies like DDEs and the write-off of significant non-marketable securities that have remained on the books of the central bank, I mean, accounting standards and all require how, and they govern it, and these are audited. Auditors have actually audited the statements, and so they actually meet the requirements of the International Financial Reporting Standards. Given that the bank experienced widening spread in its interest rate regime, given that policy rate moved from about 14 to 27, its own open market operations resulted in significant losses experienced by the bank. Given that the bank had to be the last boat when it came to the DDE, the bank actually had to take about 50% for want of a better word, a haircut on its securities for the government to be able to meet the set level for us to qualify for the fund program that we had applied for in July. So all of this has come into being. If you look at the expenses that the minority are referring to, significantly, and they keep mentioning the fact that within all of this we are still continuing with the $250 million head office of the bank. Look, Randy, you are quite conversant with that area of Accra that I know. I mean, yeah. Over time, the bank had said that, look, the activities of the CBD had actually come to the high street so much. And the bank, in its attempt to actually get a very secure place for a central bank like we know, had tried to even acquire some of the properties around. And this started way back in the 90s. There have been several attempts by the bank to be able to relocate from its current situation. And I mean, there are chronology of events, attempts at various times until 2020, where the bank actually got where this project is happening through an executive instrument. So it is not a case of an expense that the bank would have
use a quarter of $1 billion to build. I mean,
for a central bank,
a quarter of $1 billion.
A central bank, and from its current location,
yes,
it's been there for perhaps 60 years.
No, I don't have a problem.
Its operations has expanded way beyond. See, you see, in that enclave used to be AMA office. You recollect? You know where AMA is today. You see, so it is a case of. It's a case of the bank saying that.
Look, anybody raise an issue of location?
Okay.
In fact, just 100 meters.
Yeah.
From where they are building, just 100 meters is where you have the EcoBank new office.
But Stanchard was also in that enclave.
No, I'm just saying.
Stanchard also relocated.
No, I'm just saying that. I'm talking about the new site. I'm not talking
about
the
EcoBank new one on the.
Yes. It's just 100
across
meters.
there.
It's just 100 meters to the new Bank of Ghana place.
Where the Bank of Ghana is on the high street.
No.
And the EcoBank current new head office.
You're not listening to me. I'm talking about the new site for the Bank of Ghana.
The new site?
Yes.
Yes.
It's just 100 meters from the new EcoBank.
That's fine.
I'm saying, do you know how much the EcoBank building costs?
I have no idea.
You have no idea?
I have no idea.
Just Google it.
The
president of the bank at the commissioning, the opening of the bank, he gave a figure, $60 million.
But certainly, for a central bank, I mean, I don't know how you want to compare EcoBank head office to the central bank head office. Remember, the central bank has a role in the keeping of our currency and distribution around the country. So I don't see how EcoBank, a commercial bank, is comparable to the head office of a central bank. Randy, I mean, for this one, I mean, let's move away from
$190 million.
I don't, and I cannot
compare. No, does it make sense? Does it make sense that a central bank in a country like Ghana, in the situation we found ourselves in the last 5 years or so,
Randy, we are not
wants to build a head office for $250 million.
Randy,
does it make sense?
Randy, we are not building or putting up an office for the next 5-10 years. The central bank has been at its current location for 60 years.
It's the same mindset
for 60 years.
Us want to build.
We are building something that will withstand the operations of the bank over generations. Over generations. For the next 60, 80, a century,
and
this should be able to stand it.
This is the
time. And I'm saying that the attempts, we didn't just start doing this in 2020. The bank itself had started from 1990.
Anybody who decides to spend $250 million to build a head office of a central bank in Ghana needs a certain examination.
And I'm saying that. I am saying that. The bank itself,
$250 million
since 1990, have been trying to relocate from its current
I don't have a problem with relocation.
I am so what is
the cost of doing it is senseless.
And my response to you.
To say stupid.
Oh, please.
That's what
My response to you is that we are not, I mean, we as a nation, as an economy, we should not build or put up structures like this that cannot be used over the next 20, 30, 50 years, given where technology is today.
So EcoBank, they didn't build it to be used for the next
I am not talking about EcoBank. I'm talking about a central bank.
The current central
I'm talking about a central bank.
Current central bank office. Do you know how many years it existed?
That's what I'm saying. Perhaps 60 years, perhaps
and
a century.
It costs $250
perhaps
million.
A century.
It costs $250
perhaps
million.
A century. I mean, it is just one of the things that we have to.
Let's be careful the things we defend.
Then
let's just be careful.
I have actually not touched on the figure because I'm sitting here as a layman. I'm not really as to what sort of vaults are being built, what sort of technology is going to be involved. See, you are mentioning the value or how much it costs to build the EcoBank head office. I recollect a couple of years when the World Bank finished its office in Ghana. It's probably the most environmentally friendly building within Accra. I can't recollect vividly how much it cost, but depending on how you want to incorporate environmental friendliness, given the times in which we are, it might just impact on the cost. Even the location. You know how prime that side of Rich is. I am not too privy as to how much it costs to acquire.
I thought he said they got into an executive.
But even that, it means that you have to pay fair compensation to the original owners. Even if you acquire through executive instrument, you have to pay a fair compensation to the original owners. So all of this fits into how much it costs. And I mean, let's be able to look at some of these things. I know that the minority is tackled some of the line items within the annual report. Then again, I'll have to go back to the environment in which this reportage is being done. This is a year where we experienced inflation up to about 54% at close of year 2022. So it meant that comparative to 2021, figures probably would have moved close to about 50%. So if fuel consumption was about 1,000 in 2021, and I see that it's moved to about 1,300, 1,400 within that timeline, I think that it is something that you have to understand, because in the year to 2022, we saw fuel prices move from, let's say, 6 cities at a point to about 16 cities at the height before we started coming down. We saw the city dollar go to a certain level before we started recovering in November of 2022. So all of this is coming to play. When we talk about whether or not the central bank is solvent, I think that the central bank has come out and said that, look, despite the fact that we have negative equity, you see, these reserves, remember, build over time. And if you look at the books, the annual return, the stated capital for the central bank is still about 10 million. Is that relevant at this time? Has there been an opportunity for the bank to be recapitalized? Because all of this goes to affect whatever reserves the central bank has at any point in time. When the central bank makes losses, it's something that rolls over. When it makes profit, it is these are board decisions, because that's
the board that believes that instead of looking at the 10 million capitalization and doing something about it, they should build a head office for $250 million.
I mean, these are all issues that come up when you have this sort of report. I mean, ideally, we don't want the central bank, or ideally, the central bank is not supposed to get into this situation. But given that it is set up to support the economic policy of government, given that the government is finding itself in a year where access to international markets have been very limited, where we have to resort to depend on our reserves, that leads to the depletion of our... I mean, these are all realities, and this is the environment in which we live in.
Suzanne, let me ask you a question. Is it normal for government to go into the international market and borrow as much as 80 billion cedis in 2 years? Is that possible?
You see, our relationship with the international capital market, if you look at a trajectory where we started from and what is transpired since 2007, the first time we went on the internet, it until 2020 had become integral in our annual
no, that wasn't my question.
Fiscal planning.
My question was that,
is
it normal for Ghana at the height of our access to the international capital market to borrow 80 billion cedis in 2 years?
You see, Randy, remember, it is not the quantum that you borrow, it's the sustainability of the debt.
No, I'm just asking.
They are advanced economies.
No, I'm talking about Ghana. GDP. Let's not go.
I mean, Ghana is just an economy like any other economy.
You know, I'm asking you the question. We talk about the international capital market being shut to us.
Yeah.
We know when it was shut.
Yeah.
Prior to it being shut, what was the highest that we were doing? I am trying to establish a correlation between what the central bank has done over the 2-year period to what we're actually doing on the international capital market.
See, we had resorted to the international capital market because we're opening up. We had come from a HIPC country in 2001 to 2007 where we qualified. I mean, we actually grew this economy to a lower middle income economy. We saw the progress that we had made that gave us access to the market. Since then, it's become integral in our fiscal planning year in, year out. Then all of a sudden, I mean, because of the global situation, we recollect it wasn't unique to just Ghana.
Which global situation?
I mean, geopolitics.
We couldn't pay our debt.
Prices
we just couldn't pay our debt. That's why they shut off.
Out of hand. We couldn't pay our debt also because in a year like
did they shut off to
in a year like
Did they shut off to Cote d'Ivoire?
I mean,
shut off to Malawi?
in a year like 2020 and subsequent years, you see, when we talk about some of the indices, remember, if economy was growing, we wouldn't have paid. We really would have not have paid at a very.
The question I'm asking you is that if the capital market were not shut to us, would we have borrowed 80 billion in 2 years?
You see, remember, it's not just the money that we get from even the currency, right? The impact of us not getting that 1 billion or 1.5 billion that we had gotten in prior years meant that, and for an economy that was import dependent like ourselves, meant that we had to go and rely on our reserves and deplete our reserves to an unsustainable level. All this meant that the central bank's operations were going to be more expensive. It meant that the central bank had to be the last loan for the government. And so the transactions within the year.
So you've chosen not to answer the question. That's fine.
No, I am answering your question. I am answering your question.
Let me ask you a final question.
Yeah, please do.
You were a member of parliament and you aspired to go back to parliament.
Sure.
You are very conversant with the Bank of Ghana Act.
Act 621 as I mentioned.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
In all the things you speak about the role of the central bank and everything, is it not guided by the BOG Act?
It is.
Now, from all what you have read, has the Bank of Ghana followed the Act in doing what it is done?
And you see, even when the Act stipulates, let's say, a ceiling of 5% of tax revenue in the preceding year should be the limit to which it supports the budget. In given circumstances, look, let me state a very obvious level. I recollect when we went to Parliament in about 2018, we came to pass the Fiscal Responsibility Act. In about 2018, right, JJ? About 2018, the minister came to Parliament. We passed the Fiscal Responsibility Act. That limited the deficit for a particular year to about 5% of GDP. We stayed within the limits in 2019. And then 2020, COVID came knocking. Minister had to come back to Parliament so that all the restrictions were lifted.
Because that
was an extraordinary year. That is what the law says.
But the law says, in that Fiscal Responsibility Act, the law gives the opportunity for a suspension. And the minister activated the law and came to Parliament. That was the right process.
Randy,
that was the right process.
At the end of the day,
Parliament approved same. The question I ask you is that you're conversant with the BOG Act.
That's it.
In all the things that you said the Bank of Ghana did and it should do and whatever, did it follow what is in the Act?
Randy, the Act states or it provides that in a particular year, The bank shouldn't finance more than 5% of the of tax revenue.
Previous year's
tax revenue. That's what it says. But at what cost? If we stay within the limits of this law and we don't set the processes.
You see, did they follow? They did not, but because of ABC, they did not. Or they followed. Because of ABC, they followed. You are answering his question with the reason. He said, did they follow? They did or they did not. Then you can give an explanation as to why they did not follow. Me and you have been in Parliament. At Parliament, when they ask a question, you answer and provide explanation. Did they follow or not? They did not. Then you give why you think they did not.
The Act provides processes. The minister, the central bank, the controller, how this whole process works. And the bank reports to Parliament. And the minister reports.
The minister
reports to Parliament. Yes. And so the minister is expected in his reportage to Parliament to have mentioned that we actually had this process ongoing.
That is if they intend
and that allowed
increase
us
the limit.
Intend to increase the limit.
So there are two
5%.
issues. There are two issues. One is that if they hit the 5%, the governor, by the law, is mandated to inform the minister. The minister is mandated to inform Parliament. And not
essentially,
just
do you know that in 2017, 18, 19, 20, there was zero funding of the bank?
Okay, that's not the point I'm making. And if there was zero funding, it means that there was no need to come to Parliament to say anything.
Just to...
There's no need.
Just to put that in perspective.
But the point I'm making is that the law says that he should inform the minister. The minister must inform Parliament, not just inform Parliament, but also tell Parliament about the remedial measures. That's one leg.
Sure.
Then the second one is that if the intention is to exceed the limit, set a new limit, the controller, the governor, the minister must meet. And when they meet and they set that new limit, the minister must inform Parliament. None of the two has happened.
As to, you see, Randy, I don't want to sit here and say none of the two has happened. Why?
I am telling you that none has happened.
I don't want to sit here.
There is no parliamentary record.
I don't want you to say none has happened.
There is no parliamentary record which shows that the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana, one, has been informed by the finance minister that he has been informed by the governor that we have hit the 5% ceiling and that these are the remedial measures. It didn't happen in 2021. It didn't happen in 2022. 2 financial years. There is no record in the Parliament of Ghana that the finance minister has informed Parliament that he's at a meeting with the governor and the controller and accountant general and that they have set a new limit and that this is the limit. There is no such record in the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana.
Randy,
not for 2021, not for 2022, and not for 2023.
But the PFMA Act, right? There are so many reports that the minister lays in Parliament.
No, I'm speaking to a specific. I'm speaking to JJ.
Is that not right?
No, the man is talking to something specific.
So many reports.
Why can't we deal with that?
So many reports that the minister actually brings to Parliament. And I won't sit here to say that I have read.
I'm telling you that in these 2 specific cases, it hasn't happened.
You see, JJ alluded to the fact that in that particular.
JJ, are you a member of the finance committee?
Yeah, he is a member of the finance committee.
Have you seen any?
No, we asked the governor, and the governor said that. I was there when we asked the governor. He said the minister was supposed to come and inform us.
You see,
the governor himself considered.
Randy,
yes,
I won't sit here to accede to the fact because I probably have I have actually not read all the reports that the minister submits to Parliament and he's reportaging. But you see, these are legal. Contained in the Act, and one way or the other, it should or would be done at the time that it should or would have to be done. So there is not a case of
it happened in 2021. It happened in 2022.
It will be done.
We're in 2023.
You see, when the minister comes, you see all of this, and JJ will allude to the fact that in the budgeting process, there are 2 levels of approvals. One is a policy arm, and the policy arm will typically state exactly what the policies underpinning the fiscals for that particular year. And when the policies are actually passed by Parliament, it presumes and incorporates all of these activities that will take place either through the fiscal policy or even to an extent the monetary policy of the central bank. So it is not a case that the minister on a particular occasion has to come to Parliament to state this. It could be incorporated in his fiscal policy for the year.
Where is it?
You see, when the minister came to Parliament and announced to Parliament that we are going to undertake a domestic debt exchange.
No, we're not talking
He
about
implied that there are repercussions to that policy.
Don't do that, please.
The central bank, being the banker for government, would be part of the DDE program. So whatever funding, whatever write-offs, whatever activities on the monetary side is incorporated in the approved once the policy is approved. Whatever happens, it is incorporated in the policy of the fiscal statement. That's how this is run. And JJ, you're not saying, I don't see why you want to distinguish between this particular reporting and the whole approval of the policy and underpinning the fiscal of a particular year. So it's not a case that this reportage by Act 621. I mean, your stay is getting dangerous. Your stay is getting dangerous.
When you finish around it, I will give you the tape.
You see, and looking at also other aspects that the minority is being putting on.
He wants to move away from this question. He doesn't want to deal with it.
I've answered you a question 5 times.
I've answered your question. When you have answered your question,
please go on.
I've answered your question.
Please go on.
Once the fiscal policy is passed, all other activities that will make it possible for the rollout of the fiscal policy.
So you are suggesting that the finance minister can come to Parliament and in presenting the budget say that government intends to impose a tax on alcoholic beverages and leave it at that.
No,
there are processes. Hold on, and leave it at that.
There are processes that.
And then when the budget is approved, we find out later on that the tax imposed on alcoholic beverages is 7%, and we say that but the 7% tax on alcoholic beverages never came to Parliament.
No.
And then we are told that when the budget statement was passed, there was a line that said that government intends to impose a tax on alcoholic beverages. So once the budget was passed, that 7% suffices.
No, because
that's what you are saying.
Not because the PFMA provides specific requirements for all of these tax adjustments.
Yes,
it provides that even the impact of whatever tax is levied be provided to Parliament for Parliament to know the impact on consumption, the impact on revenue, and all of that. So there are processes.
So does the same PFMA not tell you clearly what to do when you want to write off debt?
What I'm saying.
The same PFMA that you refer to.
You see,
does it not tell you what to do when you want to write off debt? You were in that Parliament that approved that particular PFMA.
No. It was approved in 2016.
Okay, you were.
So we were the first government that
actually
had the benefit of.
So you are conversant.
It's an excellent piece of legislation.
But
that is why I'm telling you what processes will have to take place.
Yeah. So by the PFMA that you're speaking about, when you intend to, if an entity like the BOG is going to write off debts, are there not processes that it must follow?
It should.
And has that happened?
It should, but has that happened? The DDE is still in process. You know that.
In process. That thing has been done. It is in their financials.
There are other legs of it all happening now. So it is something that is in motion. So at the end of the day, when we really need to report on that, I'm sure that you get a report. But you see, my point is that in whatever performance assessment we are giving to the central bank at this time, we should take into cognizance the macroeconomic environment that pertained in 2022 and those that the central bank had to support government policy to ensure that economy was still viable. And so some of these things, I mean, within a situation like 2022, will happen. If you go on to talk about some of the line items, like vehicle maintenance and all of that, I think those are things that have been explained away, right? If you look at the line item vehicle maintenance, from what I gleaned, it includes things like insurance, repair maintenance itself, the fuel cost, and given the supervision, the distribution of currency of the central bank, given the environment in which we operated in 2022, I think all of these things are explained. It's also important for me to mention that, look, when you take an annual report like we have in front of us, it is not just the figures that you look at. There are also notes to the financial statement, and they are integral. I mean, for an accountant, you'll know that the notes are integral in the annual report. So the notes actually goes ahead to break down some of these figures. And when you look at it relative to what pertained in 2021 and earlier years, I don't think that we should politicize and scrutinize the central bank to this extent. I think that, yes, all the questions that a minority asking, they are at liberty to ask. But I think that they have been answered in very acceptable level. So, Randy, I think that we should really move on. Okay. The central bank reportage is in tandem to what happens. JJ was referring to the Bank of England annual report. I'm sure that I'll be interested to see what he said.
The loss is not because
all the loss. Let me tell you why they were all reporting losses.
No, let me tell you why.
The central bank.
You know what the Bank of England does? The Bank of England decided to sell some of its bond holdings. You know, the bond price has an inverse relationship with interest rates. If interest rate goes up, the bond price comes down.
Yeah.
That's what happened in the situation of the Bank of Ghana. Because interest rates are now so high, Bank of Ghana decides like to sell some of the bonds it's holding, like you do on the secondary market. When you are selling that, in order for me to buy your bonds, you must lower the price of the bond. Other than that, I won't buy it. I'll go and invest in higher interest-bearing bonds. And that is where that loss came from. And not because the Bank of Ghana printed money.
And so the Bank of England.
The Bank of England printed money and then wrote it off.
And so
the two are different. So when you are comparing the two, they are completely different. You can't compare the two. And even this Bank of Ghana, if you look at the losses, there are two. One attributable to government and one attributable to their own trading, which is similar to the Bank of England.
That's it.
So that is separate. We are talking of a 48 billion attributable
and there
to
are two components of the 48 billion.
So what? So how do you compare that to Bank of England? It doesn't matter what
the Bank of England didn't have to undertake a DDE like we did.
That is it.
Like we did.
So I'm saying
so
that
if we
the
did a
Bank
DDE
of England
and the central
did
bank
not print money to finance a government deficit like Bank of Ghana is done. So don't compare the two. And like you're saying, if you read the notes, and the notes are found in Note 9A, Note 10A, and Note 14. You see, when you look at the financials, for example, if you look at the balance sheet and the income statement, every item there's a note.
Sure.
You go to the notes and look at the details. So when you see impairment of 48 billion, it will then tell you that go to Note 9A. When you go to Note 9A, it will tell you the details and the source of where those losses are coming from. And it's simply because Bank of Ghana printed money, financed government shortfalls, and at the end of the year converted it to a loan, and now it's decided that it will write it off.
And we are severally, even me on this platform.
Okay,
we have spoken about this overdraft that was.
So we need to take a
I beg you, just before we take the final break. You see, that's why Randy was telling that we need to do comparison. Ghana is not an island. And normally if you want to compare Ghana to Sub-Saharan Africa. If you read the minister's own budget statement, Sub-Saharan Africa inflation is around 14%. It's in his document. Ghana, we are around 50.
But you know, historically, our inflation levels in Ghana, historically, I mean, from the
when you were
90s.
Are we in the 90s? We are talking of this year where we are.
Of course. But I
not doing the historical analysis. I'm saying this year.
12 months
this year, all these countries, their inflation, and Sub-Saharan Africa, the whole of Sub-Saharan Africa, the average rate of inflation is 14. You have an outlier of 40-something %. GDP growth, they are growing. Sub-Saharan Africa, 3.6. You are talking of 1 point something. Deficits, the average was 7%. You are doing 15%.
You are not doing 15%.
No, I'm talking of what led us to here. If you read the IMF document, in the year 2020, the deficit was around 7% for all countries.
You recollect that
you did 15%.
Our inflation,
and yet you are saying, "Oh, it's a global issue."
Within 12 months. That's why I keep referring to the context in which what happens. We had moved inflation from 12.6 in December of 2021 to 54%. And
you are saying it's
what pertained.
Is that not it?
What
and
pertained
your
in
peers, look at how they are doing.
Our lack of access to markets.
That is your own economic management.
The spread we had to deal with on the domestic market.
Yes,
given where our policy rate had moved from about 14 to 27.
It's a matter of
all
choice.
of this cumulated. It's not a matter of choice.
It's a matter of
choice.
If you decide to write a deficit,
it is not a matter of choice. We have to sustain this economy, and we have to pursue this consultation.
If it is a global phenomenon, everybody
recollect other economies were having 40 years.
Everybody, especially those around us, must be seen to be.
That is it.
Economies must be seen to be
those around us, Randy. Then again, every time those around us, and we keep saying those around us, especially the Francophonie.
No, we are talking of Sub-Saharan Africa.
But what happened in Ghana that did not happen in Nigeria? Historically, what has been the inflation rate in Nigeria?
48 countries.
Historically, Nigeria had always had a very beside Nigeria, and looking at the size of even a Nigerian economy relative to Ghana.
We are saying
Nigeria is 10 times Ghana's.
There's a deficit. It's the deficit that has brought us here, Randy, because your debt is largely a function of your deficit.
You see,
because when you run deficits, you must borrow to finance that deficit. When you borrow to finance that deficit, it then hits your national debt. I'm saying that when our peers were doing 7, we did 15, which created a large hole. And the subsequent years, we could not deal with it.
Basis, I don't know where you're getting.
I'm talking of 2020 deficit. I have the document, I can pull it for you. Check your 2020 deficit for Ghana, as reported by the IMF.
That is
15%.
That is what we are.
When you run such huge deficits,
in 2021 we reported
it will catch up with you.
And in 2022, that's what we are trying to correct.
So that's why we are here.
That's what we are trying to correct.
All of Africa.
If you look at the figures, in 2021, the deficit was 9.2.
Has any of you seen
in 2022 it was 8.1.
The management letter of the auditors, the Bank of Ghana auditors? The management letter. Has any of you chanced on it?
No. If you have it, I would like you to share with us. What I've read is the full audit report.
I want to see it. No.
Oh, okay.
I want to see it. Anyway, we'll take a break, but before then, the director of finance of Bank of Ghana was in a conversation with Obi Asempa on the building that you were speaking about. Let's just watch excerpts of the interview.
The Bank of Ghana committing to that project?
I don't have the figure offhand, sir.
The figure for your headquarters?
I don't have a figure off my head, sir. That's what I'm saying.
$250 million. Are you committing $250 million to that project?
I don't have the full complement of the figures at this moment.
Mr. Randolph, you are the Director of Finance of the Bank of Ghana. This is a major project that will shake the balance book of every organization. You should have that figure of head. How much are you committing to your head office building? We know it is $250 million. Can you confirm that?
My son, there's more blessing in giving than receiving. When you fear for you now, and couple the makers in
The pneumatological aberration of the Lord revealed unto me this night that me and my household should go out into the world and bless the world.
Makers Electronics Company Limited. Emma up to 67% discount. Our selected appliances.
This is what I call quintessential immaculatability.
The Makers Electronics Company Limited. Ewo Taifa Burkina Highway. Amasama Zongo Junction. Edike Pharmacy Dining. Oyer Fateman Boga Junction. Ashaman Valco Flat. Kumasi. Ahinema Kokobin. Asafu Bwachi Hospital Junction. Sakrani. Kuma. Number 9 Market.
To ensure mom and dad about the Makers Blessing Attack program.
From 0552 222 253 and 0552 222 254. Terms and conditions apply. The same got to move.
The Bank of Ghana committing to that project?
I don't have the figure offhand, sir.
The figure for your headquarters?
I don't have a figure off my head, sir. That's what I'm saying.
$250 million. Are you committing $250 million to that project?
I don't have the full complement of the figures at this moment.
Mr. Randolph, you are the Director of Finance of the Bank of Ghana. This is a major project that will shake the balance book of every organization. You should have that figure of head. How much are you committing to your head office building? We know it is $250 million. Can you confirm that?
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana, live on Metro TV. Now I can confirm that still with me on the show, the Honorable Fuseni Issa and the Honorable John Jinapo. I can confirm that. And I can also confirm that if you're tired of compromising on the quality of your furniture, look no further. With Gracefield Ventures, you're guaranteed top-notch products that are not only beautiful but also built to last. With over a decade of experience, Gracefield Ventures has been the ultimate destination for office and home furniture, creating living and working spaces that exude charm and sophistication. From luxurious sofas that cradle you in comfort to sleek swivel chairs that elevate your productivity, we have it all. Go on, visit our plush showroom at the heart of Kisselman, Accra from Monday to Saturday. And you can reach Gracefield Ventures on 0501-672-776 or 0501-672-777. Gracefield, bringing world-class furniture and exceptional service right to your doorstep. Okay, so gentlemen, let's wrap up on this one. So how do we recover from this?
It's more about us pursuing the fiscal consolidation path that we have selected. And it is the only way to which we can actually get back to some level of macroeconomic stability. And once the environment is stable, and then we do have all the macroeconomic indicators, once our policy rate starts coming down, once we have a hang on inflation, once we are able to bring down our lending and borrowing rates, once we are able to begin to have some command within the market, being in domestic, being it in once we pursue fiscal consolidation by creating physical space within our budget, once we assign to the policies that we have laid down to improve government revenue generation, I'm sure that we should be able to come back on track. And that is what we are pursuing. Because look, if you look at some of the indicators, we're already seeing improvements in 2021. Our budget deficit on cash basis was 9.2. In 2022, we have reduced it further to 8.1. And these are the indicators that we are going to pursue going forward. And once we are able to have a hang on this, we should have some level of stability. Would have been done with the DDEs and back with the fund program. Because if you look, by the time we complete the fund program, we should have that sort of stability that we yearn for, to be able to grow this economy back. But essentially, what we need to really do is to grow the economy. Once the economy is growing, all of these things will fall in place.
Now, JJ, you've given the governor and his deputies an ultimatum, 21 days. It doesn't look like they will heed your call. And you say that you're going to occupy the Bank of Ghana.
I think that the governor should save this whole country from any unnecessary brouhaha. I mean, once things are failing, it's only proper. And I've heard some people say that, oh, if the governor resigns, it will lead the economy into chaos. And we've had governors resigning before. We've had governors resigning. When the MPP took over, we all know what happened to Dr. Nash. I don't want to get into the politics. But anybody who understands this sector knows what happened to Dr. Nash. When he was pushed out, the economy did not crash. But Vizeni, have you looked at the budget? I mean, you mean things are getting better? That is getting better here. Randy, when we say things are getting better, it means that I've pursued some policy programs, I've set targets, and I'm meeting those targets, or even outperforming those targets. Then you say things are getting better. The fact that you grew -10, and this year you grew -8, doesn't mean things are getting better. No. You must do so within a context. Especially when you've achieved certain revenues, especially when you are pursuing your domestic debt exchange program. It means that the burden is less on you. So you just don't compare 2022 with 2023 and just draw your conclusion. The minister himself said that with all these policies, really, he will have a total revenue and grants of 143 billion. In the media, he's come back to say that he won't achieve that by almost 11 billion. It's in his budget, and you can go to Appendix 3A, page 112 of his own statement. Over 11 billion. He's missing that target. 11 billion, given Ghana's context, is a lot of money. That's about $1 billion. Look, we've just reported one year, that we've lost about 6 billion. And yet we believe that 3 billion over 3 years is what will solve our problem. I mean, something must be wrong somewhere. A country that can lose 6 billion in 1 year, dollars, not cedis, dollars, believes that 1 billion in 3 years is what will turn this economy around. Then the manager of our economy, they have a serious problem. There's a serious problem, Zeni. Look,
you're not saying that the benefit that will accrue to the economy is only limited to the 3 billion. The other peripheral funding that would come. The other things that we are going to do now,
like what?
Structuring our,
like
our
what?
debt and all of that.
Other peripheral funding like what?
The AFDs, the World Bank is supporting us with another, I think about 700 million. I mean, it's not just about going on a passport program. It's not just about and that you have to consider.
You have lost 6 billion. This 6 billion cannot save the child from the intensive care unit. I don't think that 1 billion is what will do the trick. Compensation. Now we're looking at the cost item. He projected to do 45 billion. Now he's telling us that he will do 51 billion. He's lost it.
But you know the cost of it. At the time that the budget was drawn, subsequent to that, you saw the labor agitations.
I am telling you that the minister came with a budget.
That's why I keep saying that
and said our chief ABCs.
You just consider that we should be contextual when we look.
That's what I'm doing. Are we making progress or not?
Look at the context.
You see, you are giving reasons. Are we making progress or not? You said that it is because of the labor agitation. That's why we are not making progress. I'm not arguing with you.
It is because at the time this budget was drawn, in November of 2020.
So what's your argument? Randy, I'm saying that we wanted to do 45. We are missing that target and doing 51. If you want to give explanations, I won't debate it.
What I did want us to argue when it comes to the wage bill is that this 45 billion that you are mentioning is to about hit 800,000 public sector workers, right?
That's not my argument. Don't twist the argument.
My argument
is whether we are making progress or that's another level.
My argument
you see,
when it comes to
Ghanaians are watching
are we getting
Ghanaians are watching us. And Randy asked a question, the way forward. Are we making progress? Are we meeting targets? Is there hope? Is there light at the end of the tunnel?
Sure.
That is the discussion now.
There is.
That look, okay, we've had all these challenges. Look, you've made a loss of 60 billion. You've made this. Inflation is 54. But when we project forward...
What's 54? It is not 54.
When we project forward, how does it look like? That's what you are asking. And I'm saying that the minister himself said that, look, he will make an overall balance of 64 billion. He himself has now come and said he can achieve that. He will make 48 billion. He said that because of the DDE, and the Bank of Ghana taking all this hit, my debt level and everything will reduce. So 2023, as for domestic borrowing, 0. That's what he told us. Because when government borrows, it leads to crowding out. And you know the effect of crowding out. Randy, you know from 0, you know what he wants to borrow? 46 billion.
This year alone.
This year. Domestic, net, 0. 2023 budget. Is here. Look, Appendix 3A, page 113. Exceptional financing and other financial sources. Domestic, 0. Revised, 46 billion. This is the media. This is the most current of all the budgets you can rely on.
When he says 0, what does it mean?
He won't borrow from the domestic market.
That's what he projected.
That is what he told us.
But now he wants to...
Now he says that by the end of the year, he would have borrowed 46 billion. That's netto. Borrowing... That means he can borrow 200 billion. It doesn't matter. Once you are borrowing and refinancing, the net is 0. But he says that at the end of the year, net borrowing over and above 46 billion. Look, we are dealing with a government that has lost its way. This government, they've lost their way completely. They've run out of ideas. This is projectional going forward. Look, GDP, he says that he can't even meet his target. One would have expected that having borrowed all this and spending this, at least the economy will grow. Because when you borrow, you spend in the critical sectors of the economy, so that when the economy grows, you can generate revenue. Even that one, he can't achieve it. He cannot achieve that. Look. In the context. These people, look, primary balance. He said that he will have a primary balance of positive 0.7. He's revised it to negative 0.5. Is here, primary balance. Commitment, including discrepancy. Budget, 0.7, positive. He's reviewed it to negative 0.5. And the primary balance tells you exactly where you are going.
And the reason is what?
He's missing every target. And overspending. That is the problem. And here this man tells us that he has turned the corner. Look, viewers, with these figures, can you confidently say that this government has turned the corner? I'm asking myself, the head of the economic management team, I mean, can't you also think outside the box a bit? I mean, you see, it's not every time that you apply theory. Excuse my language, sometimes you also apply home sense more. When you pursue a certain path and you are not getting results, change that path.
All right, okay. So today is the 70th birthday of a big brother of mine, Charles Nikwe Kote. Okay, a lot of you know him in England, in London, Charles Nikwe Kote. But Most people refer to him as Akot. He's 70 years today. So Akot, Charles Nekwe, happy 70th birthday to you. Happy 70th birthday to you. We thank God for your life. We hope that, we believe that by the grace of God, you'd spend a lot more decades with us, of course, with your children and your grandchildren, everybody else. So Charles Nekwe Akot, happy 70th birthday to you. Today is also the birthday of our sports presenter, Michael Kofiodro. Today is Michael's birthday, and he's next with Metro Sports. And for you, the soccer fans, Dreams FC and Mediama are getting ready to start the Africa campaign this weekend. Dreams FC is going away, and Mediama is playing at the Cape Coast Stadium. But Dreams FC and Heart of Lions will play a friendly this afternoon at 3 p.m. at the Accra Sports Stadium. So 3 p.m. at the Accra Sports Stadium today is Dreams FC versus Heart of Lions. And so you can have a sneak preview into what both teams are presenting for Africa and next season as well. Thanks, Fuseni.
Yeah,
and I wish you well.
Thank you.
Yes.
In his primaries.
In your primaries.
Thank you.
And JJ, thanks for joining me
Thank
as
you.
well. Up next, Metro Sports.
The Bank of Ghana committing to that project?
I don't have the figure offhand, sir.
The figure for your headquarters?
I don't have a figure off my head, sir. That's what I'm saying.
$250 million. Are you committing $250 million to that project?
I don't have the full complement of the figures at this moment.
Mr. Randolph, you are the Director of Finance of the Bank of Ghana. This is a major project that will shake the balance book of every organization. You should have that figure of head. How much are you committing to your head office building? We know it is $250 million. Can you confirm that?
Saddens me